Time now for the Jackrabbit pregame show, presented by Sanford Health. Here for all, here for good.
The penultimate game of the regular season features the ultimate of playoff implications. A pair of 7-3 teams meet this afternoon as the Illinois State Redbirds, winners of 3 in a row, take on the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State, who have dropped each of their last 3. Hi, friends. Tyler Merriam, joined by Mason Lyseth. Great to have you with us today. And this is a big one, Mason, pure and simple, because if history is any indication, 8 wins get you into the postseason. The victor will pick up number 8 today.
You're exactly right, Tyler. 8 is that magic number. 8, you're in. 7, it's a coin flip. So we'll see who is going to come to play. Obviously, the Jackrabbits on a 3-game skid. Illinois State coming in with a 3-game winning streak. So it's going to be a tale of the tape today, getting to that magical 8 number.
We look at the Missouri Valley Football Conference standings brought to you by Willikers. You see that there are 3 teams with 6 wins entering today. A pair of wins for them, they get to 8. But for the winner of this game, if they go on and win next week, they're at 9. 9-3 has you in the discussion to be a top 8 seed and receive a bye.
You're exactly right, Tyler. The strength of schedule, the signature wins, that's a huge thing for these Missouri Valley teams today. There's a lot of games to play in the next 2 weeks that can be winner or losses for teams that are potentially on that bubble. So you're absolutely right. 9 wins, and I think if you get to 9 wins in Missouri Valley, you're going to get that bye.
South Dakota State for the 2nd straight week will go to Jack Henry at quarterback, the redshirt freshman from Del Rapids. His first ever start on the road against a conference rival. He performed fairly well.
He performed really well, especially when I'm looking at his passing game. Really confident in the pocket. You see putting his pads down there on the run. He did a really good job, especially in a rivalry game. He's a South Dakota kid, and really the only way is up for him. I'm really impressed with him and seeing what he does today.
And look at this strike he throws to Alex Bullock for that touchdown last Saturday right before the end of the half. Now he'll make his 2nd career start against a veteran from Illinois State, Tommy Rittenhouse, who is as efficient as any quarterback in the Missouri Valley.
Yeah, watching the tape on him, he is very impressive. It's really hard to get underneath his skin. Blitzes, weird coverages. He's calm, he's poised in the pocket, and he's got a little bit of hidden athleticism, Tyler. We're going to see that today.
Well, Illinois State has not lost in November since 2022. SDSU has not dropped 4 in a row since 2010. It's Brock Spack and the Redbirds. Dan Jackson and the Jackrabbits. A big one in the Missouri Valley comes your way after this tailgating tip from Build Your Base.
I'm Alex Sannert with Midco Sports, here with another Build Your Base tailgate tip. I'm with Holly Swede, Director of Nutrition for Build Your Base. What's on the menu today?
Well, we have a delicious beef chili that's great for tailgating. What I like about it is very few ingredients, and it uses chuck roast or stew meat instead of ground beef. And it's super simple. You can put it all together at the tailgate and you're ready to go. First thing you need to add is your chuck roast that I've cut up here in about 1-inch dice. And you can also use stew meat if you wish. We also have 1 large onion diced and 2 cans of black beans that have been rinsed and a can of diced tomatoes. Then add your salt, your chili powder, cumin, and black pepper. Mix together in the slow cooker. Then, just before serving, add a cup of thick salsa and cook for about 2 to 3 minutes or until it's heated through and serve.
Awesome, perfect for a cold fall afternoon at your tailgate. Thank you, Holly. For more information on recipes just like this, go to buildyourbase.org.
In this life chapter, you're putting you first, and so are we. With Medicare Advantage plans from Align powered by Sanford Health Plan. Receive Medicare Parts A and B, plus prescription coverage, $0 premiums and copays, and up to $2,000.
Just Saturday afternoon on the eastern side of the Mount Rushmore State. We're live inside Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium in Brookings for this Missouri Valley Football Conference clash. And again, we have wind to contend with because it is November in South Dakota, but 51 degrees this time of year. We're not about to complain.
You can't ask for a much better mid-November day, Tyler. These are the days that you dream for when you're going up into college football. There's no snow on the ground. Can't beat it.
Brock Spack, the most veteran of all the head coaches in the Valley, year number 17, the winningest head coach in Redbird program history. Played linebacker, was an All-American at Purdue. And Dan Jackson on the other side in year number 1 and leading the Jackrabbits out here to what is a very important game. Again, the winner of this one has an opportunity to get to 9 wins and maybe earn a second Missouri Valley Football Conference top 8 seed alongside North Dakota State. SDSU won the toss and deferred. Illinois State will be receiving to begin things. Chris Taylor, one of the 2 deep men for the Redbirds. It'll be Ryan Harrington to kick it off. Lights are on, sun is shining bright, and we are underway. Well, nice work. Out across the 35 near the 39-yard line, Marquand Gary, the freshman from Bloomington, Illinois. Very athletic. A 33-yard return to the Redbirds with great field position to start things.
And this is a really great start by the Redbirds right here, especially in a tight game like this, Tyler. Have to have it. Special teams is going to make a difference one way or another, and that's a great start by the Redbirds right there.
So Illinois State led by Tommy Rittenhouse. Dakota Bank brings you this look at the veteran quarterback, 30th career start. He has really developed under the guidance of offensive coordinator Tony Peterson. And he'll operate with 3 wides. Jack's 4 down linemen. They blitz, and Winkers right up the middle, breaking an ankle tackle out to the 42. 4-yard gain for Wright, the 5th-year senior out of Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. Wright was injured and did not play a week ago. This is an Illinois State team that it dealt with some lumps earlier in the year. It's finally getting healthy, while the Jackrabbits are mired in injury issues themselves. On 2nd down, Rittenhouse will take a shot, and a great catch making the adjustment is Daniel Sobkowitz, 43rd reception of the year for the 5th-year senior who twice has been an All-Valley pick.
And that's the exact same play that they went with. Again, Rittenhouse is literally just watching who's in the box and who's not. Saw one-on-one coverage and a beautiful throw back to Daniel Sobkowitz.
Off the play fake, blitz comes. Rittenhouse hangs in and floats the ball wide of the target for Luke Maylander. Jackrabbits have come after Rittenhouse a couple of times there, and the QB a little slow to get up that time.
And the Jacks are lucky right there with the blitz coming on, because he had Luke Maylander right outside. There's nobody around him.
Shane laying the big hit there. Here's a look at the Dakota Bank starting lineup. It's been a revolving door at O-line because of a couple of injuries up front. Redbirds have started 9 different men on the line. And right back, Sobkowitz, Maylander, Casper. You'll see plenty of Dylan Lord as well at wideout. Rittenhouse dives on the keep and picks up close to 3.
Really good read by Tommy Rittenhouse right there. Looking basically right there, Tyler, all he's doing is reading the defensive end. He's looking at one-on-one coverage coming outside. Either he gives it to the running back or pulls it. Good decision right there. Set him up for a 3rd and long. Dakota
Bank starting lineup for that Jackrabbit defense. 14th in the nation in total defense, 17th in scoring defense. Only 2 down linemen. Jacks come with a blitz. Rittenhouse hangs in but throws incomplete. Closest man to it was Daniel Sobkowitz. Jalen Lee, the safety, had the coverage. And decision time here for the Redbirds, because this in the neighborhood of 50 yards should they try a field goal.
Especially with the wind coming in their face right here, Tyler. Field goal, looking at warm-ups, that was going to be dicey. Again, Illinois State is here to win this game.
So Sobkowitz stays on the field. 4th and 7 for Illinois State. Sobkowitz looks to the sideline. He still has 7 to snap it. He will. Pocket holds up. And Rittenhouse hits a man for a 1st down, and a vicious hit from McShane and a late flag. Sobkowitz able to hang on as McShane looked like he virtually threw a forearm up around the neck and head area of Sobkowitz. Redbirds are better than 50% on 3rd down, or 4th downs rather, this year. Let's check out the penalty.
Personal foul, targeting, defense number 5. The previous play is under review.
Grant Henderson, our referee, making the announcement. Mo Lynch is our replay official as we get another look.
And he's coming across again. This is a great catch by Sobkowitz, especially in traffic right there. And that's when you're live, it's hard to see, but I think McShane definitely did come up targeting that upper chest area, neck area. So we might be looking at, yeah, right here, Tyler. Could have let up, and went right through his body, right in the neck and head area.
When you hit an opponent in the head or the neck area with a defenseless player, that is suggested as targeting in the rule book. And again, when you have Sobkowitz going up to make that catch, he hasn't had a chance to come back down, so he's essentially viewed as defenseless. And McShane drilling him up around the neck and the helmet area is what drew the flag, and the officials are taking more looks at it.
And that's tough, obviously, as you're a defender. You're trying to finish the play. You're trying to make sure that he's down. But that's something that obviously the NCAA and even the NFL over the last 4 or 5 years has taken a really hard look at to ensure player safety.
You can see it there. It was the left shoulder of McShane. The bicep hitting around the helmet of Sobkowitz. And Sobkowitz's neck snapped back a little bit. It's a 4th down conversion regardless. But if targeting is upheld, then the Redbirds will get significant yardage on top of it, and McShane would be out for the rest of the game due to targeting.
And that's going to be a really tough loss for the Jackrabbits, Tyler. Colin McShane is the leading tackler with 73 on the year currently. A good thing about potentially if we do lose him, Bryce Johnson Sr.
After review, the ruling on the field has been upheld. Number 5 has been disqualified for the rest of the game.
So we talked about this Jackrabbit defense losing Reese Kirshenman the 2nd week of the year. Chase Van Tol went out a few weeks back. Kyton Fife has started in his place and performed well, had his best game of his young career last week in Vermilion. Now Cullen McShane will be out for the rest of the game, so Bryce Johnson will step in as Illinois State makes a trip inside the Integra Cooperative red zone on its opening possession. 1st and 10 for the visitors at the Jackrabbit 11. Rittenhouse on the rollout and simply threw it away. Feeling the heat from Joe Ullman, the team captain and middle linebacker.
And a really nice job by the Jackrabbit defense, keeping their eyes focused on what their responsibilities are. 12 personnel by the Redbirds right there, running out kind of, again, that read zone option look, giving Rittenhouse a chance to look and see if he got man coverage, and he did, but good coverage by the Jacks.
And Redbirds can pick up a 1st down at the 1. Rittenhouse in man-on-man coverage, and that is a terrific grab for a touchdown by Daniel Sobkowitz. He leads the Missouri Valley in touchdown receptions. That's his 9th, the 5th-year senior out of Arlington Heights, Illinois. Puts the Redbirds on top, not even 2 minutes into this one.
And again, 1-to-1 to the top of the boundary. Beautiful ball by Rittenhouse, and again, a great catch by Sobkowitz. Sobkowitz is not unfamiliar with having success against the Jackrabbits. 2023, he went for 7 for 70 and a touchdown, Tyler.
Rittenhouse's 26th touchdown pass of the year to just 4 interceptions. Redbirds convert on the 4th down. And Rittenhouse then hits Sobkowitz for the score, a 7-play, 62-yard drive. It took less than 2 minutes, and Illinois State fires the opening salvo in Brookings.
What is generational success?
SDSU then traveling to UND, which again has to get that magical 8 number. So a lot is riding on this game, and you can feel kind of the intensity already in that first series, Tyler. A lot of very crisp execution on the Illinois State side, and it really started with that initial kickoff return.
Special teams gave the Redbirds great field position. We talk about SDSU's game at North Dakota next week. Illinois State will host Southern Illinois. That could be a de facto playoff qualifier as well, back in Bloomington Normal. Matt Maldonado with the short kickoff, trying to keep it away from Jack Smith. This is Miles Green, who made the catch. Green wanted to return it, but the indication is someone called a fair catch, and Green's not happy about it.
Number 8. The ball will be spotted at the spot of reception.
So one of the up men called for a fair catch. Green didn't know it. That's why he took off. Sammy Dressy. No, actually, it wasn't Dressy. I think it was 9. I think that was Matt Garrett.
Again, a little bit of miscommunication right there, Tyler. Yeah. Again, there was a huge crease for Miles Taylor to really, who knows what could have happened after that. So that's a bad break for the Jackrabbits there.
So the Jacks will start at their own 15. With the bright yellow shoes, this is Jack Henry. Redshirt freshman from Del Rapids. A handoff to Julius Loffridge, who will fight his way to the 17 for maybe 2 yards on first down.
And this is going to be a real challenge for the Jackrabbit offense today. Illinois State runs a odd front, which means they have 3 down linemen and kind of a jack stand-up linebacker, which makes some of these different angles really odd to block at normally than what they're used to.
Screen broken up in the backfield. That's Patrick Bauer, the Sam linebacker out of Mount Prospect, Illinois, who hauls down Jack Smith. It'll be 3rd down. You saw the Dakota Bank starting quarterback look at Jack Henry, and he does his job here, but just unable to make the block on the perimeter was Coleman Kuntz.
And that was a really good job by the Redbirds there. That's a stock block that you really want to be very physical on, and you just ran through it, setting it up a really 3rd and long, critical down here for the Jackrabbits.
To the starting lineups brought to you by Dakota Bank. No Sam Hagan at tackle for SDSU. Henry on 3rd and long. Screen, it's intercepted. Touchdown, Illinois State, Patrick Bauer. Back-to-back plays for Bauer. His 2nd interception of the year. It's a pick 6 for Illinois State. And what a start on the road for Brock's back squad.
And Patrick Bauer was reading this the whole way. He's seeing the running back flash by him. This is something that they rep continuously at practice, Tyler. Great job by the Illinois State Redbirds recognizing some of these cadence and consistencies of the play calling on their Jackrabbits offensive side of the play, and really just made the play. That's a huge, really transition in this game right now.
Not a lot of fans made the trip up from Bloomington Normal, but the ones who are here loving the first 3 minutes in Brookings. The extra point up and in by Matt Maldonado, and what a start for Illinois State. The good kickoff return, the 4th down conversion, the touchdown, and then the pick 6. As one more time, we see Patrick Bauer to the house, and it's 14-0 Redbirds on the Integra Cooperative scoreboard.
Lucky for us, life is full of choices.
sports medicine provider of the Jackrabbits.
The beautiful Coughlin Campanile on the south side of the SDSU campus in Brookings. It's a haul climbing up that thing. Have you climbed up it before, Mason?
A couple times. I was forced to.
You were forced to. It's a beautiful view when you get up there.
Beautiful view, but defensive linemen generally don't like a lot of cardio.
There's no elevator to the top. Maldonado to kick off. Jack Smith to return. What a way to open things for Illinois State. Maldonado, another short kickoff. Fair catch called for, then Delahoy dropped the football. That is a live ball inside the 30. And Illinois State comes away with it. Darion Crow, the freshman linebacker out of Owensboro, Kentucky. That ball just slid down the chest of Delahoy.
Ruling on the field is a muff kick recovered by the kicking team.
That's a really tough play right there. Again, the sun coming on these late evening games, late in the fall, that's directly into his eyes and not securing the catch before he is looking up.
Well, if you're Brock Spack, you could not have scripted this any better. A 14-0 lead in terrific field position. And this will be a flea flicker. Rittenhouse will throw it back to the running back, Victor Dawson, who has a ton of room, is still going inside the 5. Dawson finally down at the 4. That's 24 yards, and the Redbirds first and goal.
And this is a really unique play, a double reverse going back to the original running back down the sideline. Again, you can't script, like you said, Tyler, a much better start to Brock Spack's Redbirds right now.
So second time in the Integra Cooperative Red Zone for Illinois State in the opening 3.5 minutes. Rittenhouse motions a tight end, pressing. Fakes the handoff. He'll lob it to the back of the end zone. It is incomplete. Intended for Javon Charles, the tight end.
And you can really see the Redbirds trying to stress the linebackers, corners, and safeties in a lot of these read option routes right now, trying to get that one-on-one coverage. Rittenhouse is doing a really good job of getting to his 1, back to 2, and even to his 3rd read to identify maybe where there'd be a weakness on that coverage.
So second down, goal to go. Sobkowitz, the only wideout. He is split left. Dawson bounces off a tackle, surging forward to the 2. It'll be 3rd and goal. Victor Dawson out of Akron, Ohio. Wright was injured the past couple of weeks, so Dawson stepped in at back-to-back 100-yard games. Transfer from Cincinnati, who actually began his career at Merrimack, where he was an FCS All-American as a freshman.
Yeah, Victor Dawson is a big back, 5'11", 220, was really patient right there, but nice job by the front 7, the Jackrabbits, only a couple.
Dawson to Rittenhouse's left. It's a reverse, looking to throw the ball is Sobkowitz. He'll break a tackle, then he tried to hit Rittenhouse in the flat, and Ullman knocked it away. So the Redbirds pulling out all the stops here. And now decision time. Will Spack go for it on 4th and goal?
Dawson Ruperta almost had him right there. Really nice job by the senior captain, Joe Ullman, right there, making the play. Because, again, he had Rittenhouse in the corner of the end zone that could have made a 3-score lead here very quickly.
Redbirds are 9 of 16 on 4th downs this year. They converted one earlier that led to the opening drive touchdown. Rittenhouse will have 3 receivers split. 2 left, 1 right. Snap back to the QB. And his pass is caught for a touchdown. What a move by Sobkowitz. That's his 2nd score of the opening 5 minutes of this game. And Illinois State, a terrific way to open things here in Brookings.
Jackrabbits went man coverage right there. And again, a former FCS stud that people might know, Cooper Kupp. This is a little inside-out option route, feeling out where that corner is. Again, you see that chemistry between Rittenhouse and Sobkowitz right there. He's sensing that and breaks right back out to the boundary. Easy pitch and catch for a touchdown for the Redbirds there.
Sobkowitz's 10th receiving touchdown of the year. Rittenhouse's 27th scoring toss of the season. And Illinois State with an opening drive touchdown, then a pick 6. Then SDSU fumbles the ensuing kickoff. And the Redbirds have laid 21 on the Jackrabbits. And we haven't even played 5 minutes. This is an unbelievable start for Brock Spack and company. While we have a moment, let's hear this word from our friends at Sanford Health.
Building a career at Sanford Health is about even more than great pay and comprehensive benefits. It's also about doing good every day. Join us to start a career with purpose. Because no matter what you do here, you'll be changing lives.
Well, Dan Jackson has to remind his team there is still all sorts of time left in this game, and the Jacks just have to be able to win things one play at a time right now because they can't make up 21 points in an instant.
Yeah, there hasn't even been 5 minutes that have gone off the clock here, Tyler. So there's a bunch of game left. Again, try to settle the team down. Let's see if the Jackrabbit offense can settle in here, get a drive going, and give the defense a little bit of a reset going into this first quarter.
Miles Green has some shake to him and returns it out to the 38-yard line. So on that previous drive, again, it all started with Delahoyd being unable to hang on to the fair catch on the kickoff. Illinois State jumps on it.
And again, you see Illinois State, they did 2 of these type of plays. They are being very aggressive. They are not here to try to just win. They are pulling out all the stops, and you're seeing that in their performance. They're confident. They're driving down the field and executing.
2 fourth-down conversions already. Here's James Basinger on the first down carry. And the Jackrabbit tailback pushing the pile forward to the 42-yard line. Basinger for a gain of 4, the freshman back out of Littleton, Colorado.
And that's a good start. This is how you want to, again, settle in Jack Henry. Again, one play right there, that where it's a screen play, kind of a wheel option route. That's tough to read. Let's settle this offense in, see what they can do. But that's an efficient first down pickup there for the Jackrabbits.
Jackrabbits have run 4 plays. They're down 21-0. Henry throws behind his intended wideout, Jack Smith. Incomplete.
And one thing this Redbirds defense does really well, not just out of the odd front, but they will blitz over 50% of downs, Tyler. And you saw it right there. And it's not, hey, we're going to go a deep cover 2 or a quarter shell type of look. They're going to mix up some weird coverages. So that is to their advantage with a young quarterback that hasn't seen some of those looks, and you saw it right there.
Henry, his second collegiate start, empties the backfield. Smith wide left on 3rd and 6. Henry will keep, and he's brought down after just a couple. Diving in, Ty Niekamp, the All-American middle linebacker out of Normal, the hometown kid. And the Jackrabbits will send on the punt team.
And Ty Niekamp was seeing that the whole way. He's the motor that makes this Redbirds defense hum. He is a special player out there, Tyler. We got to make sure that we have a hat on him at all times.
If you're ever going to fake a punt, this would certainly be a possibility if you're SDSU down 21-0 already. Pelham drops the snap. He can't find it. It's still loose. The Jacks do dive on it, but it will be Illinois State football. And Pelham is slow to get up.
It was hard to see from that initial read, Tyler, but the Redbirds were definitely thinking the same thing you were. They had 4 guys sitting back there almost in zone coverage, making sure that didn't happen. And again, a miscue for the Jackrabbits right now. The train is kind of rolling in the opposite direction for the Jackrabbits at this point.
Think about Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong. Not one thing has gone the way of the Jackrabbits here in the first 6 minutes. It's all gone Illinois State's way, and the Redbirds have capitalized on every opportunity. 21-0 and looking for more. Jacks show a blitz. They come with it. Rittenhouse able to get rid of it quickly. And working his way along the near sideline, and space was right. You had Kobe Claiborne out there. It's rare you see a defensive lineman that far out in space trying to guard a running back like Wright.
And you see some of the versatility right there of Kobe Claiborne. He did a good job not letting him cut back against the grain right there, limiting that first down pickup to only 4 yards.
The Jackrabbits with a -14 total yardage count to this point. And Illinois State with 71 of its own. But again, for the Redbirds, it's been the capitalizing on the miscues, particularly in special teams. Rittenhouse rolled right into pressure and then lobbed it to the far side. Ball was caught out of bounds by Luke Mayland. There was the pick six, but you had the confusion on the fair catch. Then you had the fair catch that was dropped, and you have a drop snap on a punt.
Yeah, everything that could go wrong is going wrong, and it's Murphy's Law, or it could be Newton's Law of gravity. An object in motion stays in motion, Tyler. So however it is, let's try to shake it up and have it go the other way and see if the Jackrabbits can at least get some momentum on their side.
Suddenly I'm craving an apple. Third down for the Redbirds. Dawson right up the middle, and Claiborne tried to hold him up, but Dawson wrestled him to the 15-yard line, and the officials are signaling that's good enough for a first down.
And that's where it really needs to start right now for the Jackrabbits, is winning those money downs. A 3-and-out for the Jackrabbit offense, and right there you have 3rd and long, you have a halfback draw. Again, numbers in the box were limited, and the Redbirds were able to pick it up.
It's the first third down conversion by Illinois State as it enters the Integra Cooperative red zone again. Here's Dawson looking for room, bouncing off tacklers inside the 5 to the 4. Redbirds are only 1 of 3 on third downs, but they had a 4th down conversion on their opening drive. Then they had a touchdown on 4th down on their second possession.
And a really nice job on that wrap power right there, keeping close to the blockers, making sure that there's limited space for a defender to come in, and getting downhill with power is Victor Dawson.
So 1st and goal, Illinois State. Rittenhouse looking for Sobkowitz again, and Aiden Dotterman able to get his hand on it. 3rd pass breakup of the year for the Wisconsin native, who was honored, one of 19 Jackrabbits introduced earlier on during the Senior Day festivities.
And with the current success rate, they're going to continue to go with these one-on-one matchups. But that's a really nice job, not losing the line of scrimmage battle right there by Aiden Dotterman, the senior, trying to win this game back one play at a time for the Jackrabbits.
2nd and goal. See Rittenhouse talking to his offensive line. Senior out of Geneva, Illinois. Dawson tripped up right about the 2-yard line. Titan Fife diving in. It'll be 3rd down and goal for Illinois State.
Quick inside zone there for the Redbirds. Again, Victor Dawson is getting north to south very quickly, creating some havoc. Titan Fife, really nice job slicing through there, eliminating that play to potentially a touchdown.
Just outside the 2-yard line. Jacks show a blitz. Here it comes. Rittenhouse will dive for the pylon, and he is in. Touchdown, Illinois State. The 4th consecutive game that Rittenhouse has scored with his feet. And the senior quarterback has staked the Redbirds to a 4-score lead. And we haven't even played 9 minutes.
And right there, that could be something that's really frustrating when you're looking at the defense. Your job is to make sure that you're going inside out so that you don't allow that edge to happen. You see that come up time and time again on film, and that burned the Jackrabbits right there.
Matt Maldonado again for the extra point. And it's good. Illinois State, its first couple of offensive snaps occurred on the right side of the 50-yard line. Everything else has occurred on the left side of the 50, and Rittenhouse is guns a-blazing as the Redbirds lead big. On the Integra Cooperative scoreboard, 14th ranked Illinois State. Couldn't ask for a better start, 28-0 over SDSU. Elsewhere today in the Valley, North Dakota gets its 7th win of the year. Remember, UND will host the Jacks next Saturday. Youngstown is also at 7 after the victory over Indiana State. And a big one in Carbondale, basically an elimination game because you finish 7-5, you're at best on the bubble. Southern Illinois clinging to a 7-point lead over USD. So again, you look at that column on the right, 5 teams at 7 wins, Southern Illinois trying to get there. There's still so much jockeying to be had here as far as the playoffs go in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Those are our standings, brought to you by Willikers off the squib kick. Matt Gehring on the return. The Sioux Falls native takes it out to his own 40. It's a return of 18 yards.
And again, good field position now starting. It feels like we're at ground level 0 right now, Tyler. It feels like we've played 40 games already. Let's see what the Jackrabbits can do here with a simple first down pickup right now.
The Dakota Bank starting lineups for the defense of Illinois State. Redbirds have really picked things up defensively as of late, as that unit with only 2 starters back from a year ago needed some seasoning, and they have gotten it. Henry on the rollout. Short throw complete. That is Coleman Kuntz, first catch of the year for the senior out of Beaumont, California. He transferred in from Sacramento State, and the staff thought he might be able to challenge for the starting job till an injury sidelined him for much of the first half of the season. So this is his 3rd game. He can play next week, potentially the playoffs, and then still maintain a year of eligibility. Second down, 4 to go. Jacks will empty the set for Henry. The Del Rapids native screen to Jack Smith. Not a lot there. Smith able to gain maybe a yard to his own 46. Well, the Jacks are being very safe here with Henry in the passing game. Everything's been screened so far.
Yeah, everything's been screened so far. You're seeing Illinois State kind of keen off that. That was actually the nose tackle, Jake Anderson, running all the way out to the boundary to make that tackle. So again, they're keen on that and they're trying to execute to that.
Third down of the day for SDSU. It failed on both of the first 2. One of those a pick 6. Loffridge, the running back. Redbirds come with 5. Henry down the right side, incomplete. Bullock, the closest man to it. And the Jackrabbits go 3 and out again.
And again, to no surprise, Illinois State sends a blitz there, and they actually went to the back end, a quarter coverage, which again is a new look for Jack Henry.
There's a live shot of the booth. This is not Pelham. This is Eli Stater to punt. Remember, we said Pelham looked worse for wear after he dropped that snap and got tackled. Stater gets off a punt that'll bounce near the 20. It hugged the near sideline and goes out of bounds. They'll say it went out right at the 20. So a punt of 34 for Eli Stater. And we do have a flag, it appears.
Illegal formation. 5 men in the backfield on the kicking team. We will assess the 5-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down, Illinois State.
I mean, the first 10 minutes couldn't have gone any worse for SDSU or any better for that man. Brock's back with his back to the camera.
What were you saying about Murphy's Law again?
What can go wrong will go wrong.
And some of these are rudimentary things, Tyler. Again, you're practicing punt formations first day of camp. So again, that 5 men in the backfield, it just seems like everything that could go wrong is going wrong right now for the Jackrabbits.
Rittenhouse, 5 of 11 for 62 yards, a couple of touchdown tosses to Sopkowitz. He'll hand it off. Big hitter up the middle for the 3rd back, Seth Glatz, the senior out of Morton, Illinois, who started his career at Western Illinois. And he picks up 13 yards straight down the middle.
These Illinois State Redbird running backs on film, all 3 of them are very physical downhill runners. And if you're not where you need to be from a defensive standpoint, you could be gashed just like that.
It's always been the mantra of Brock Spack's teams. They are physical. Glatz again. as he crosses the 40. Aaron Wolfkale Holston, the defensive tackle, met him for a gain of right at 2.
I think if you have a mustache like Brock Spack, you have to be physical to be on his team, Tyler.
Spack's stash is indeed glorious. He is a wonderfully nice man. He's a father and a grandfather and does a lot in the community, including with that stash. Rittenhouse to throw. Pass is caught on the near side, and it is Dylan Lord hit out of bounds. And they are marking him just shy of the marker. He needed to get across the 48, and he reached the 47. It's 3rd and 1.
Dylan Lord is not the original starter coming into this season, Tyler, and he has really excelled the last 3 or 4 games. Again, right there, putting them in for a 3rd and short position. This is really an open-ended playbook right now, especially with how aggressive Illinois State has been.
And the Redbirds will take a timeout.
Timeout, Illinois State. This is our first timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
So Illinois State takes the timeout for this 3rd and 1. Illinois State a big lead and hungry for more here late in the first.
And I wouldn't be shocked coming out of this timeout right now, Tyler. 3rd and 1, again, you're up 28-0. Why not go for a deep shot?
If Spack would humor us in turn, you would see the vaunted stash that we have talked about. But Spack has been very active in the community. In fact, a number of games, the Illinois State Athletic Department has handed out fake mustaches that you can paste over the top of your lip in honor of cancer or memory of those who have fallen. And it's something that I don't think was his idea, but he's gone along with it because he knows how important it is to be involved in those causes. Again, just a great guy. 3rd down carry, and this will be a 1st down as Glatz will cross into South Dakota State territory. That's the 8th 1st down of this opening quarter for Illinois State. The Jackrabbits, meanwhile, have only run 10 total plays.
This is exactly what we're talking about. One cut directly downhill, north and south. There wasn't much room right there, Tyler. It was a good job by the Jackrabbit defensive line plugging those gaps. But again, had to have a 3rd down, and he got it.
He actually moved the ball back to Illinois State's 49. Glatz's knee went down earlier. Rittenhouse tosses to Lord again. You can see how quick he is as he crosses into Jackrabbit territory. Running him down, Matt Gehring at the 42. The Jackrabbits lost Cullen McShane to a targeting on the opening possession. Illinois State scored a touchdown. Then SDSU threw a pick 6. Then the Jacks dropped a fair catch. Illinois State recovered it and went in for a score. Sobkowitz's 2nd touchdown of the day. Jacks went 3 and out, dropped the snap on a punt. Illinois State recovered and went in for a score. Then the Jacks went 3 and out again. Now the Redbirds on the move, and that's a nice form tackle by Kobe Bretz on Scotty Presson Jr., the tight end, who has now made a reception in 9 consecutive games.
Really nice job sitting right down. Again, zone coverage is sitting right in that gap. Again, he knew where the sticks needed to be, and he got exactly the yardage required.
1st and 10 Redbirds at the 38 of SDSU. Rittenhouse with a good pocket. And it's unable to be hung on to by Sobkowitz. Dotterman got his hand in there and distracted the wideout from what would have been his 3rd receiving touchdown of this opening period.
And that ball got hung up in this strong north wind, Tyler. He had him wide open, probably about 2 steps. Ball kind of hung up, allowed Aiden Dotterman to slide up underneath there, trying to battle for the ball. Good job in the air, trying to make sure that you're finding and targeting where those hands are at, because he almost got that.
Throwing into the wind. 4 wides for Rittenhouse on 2nd down and 10. Jacks blitz. Rittenhouse alertly throws to where the blitz came from. Shaking free of a tackle, Javon Charles, the Glen Heights Texan, for a nice gain. Then we have a flag at the end of the play as well.
Looks like it's going to be a personal foul against the Redbirds.
Looked like Charles had enough to pick up the 1st down. The marker's the 28. The initial indication the ball's at the 27. Here's Grant Henderson.
After the play, personal foul, offense number 4. 15-yard penalty from the dead ball spot. It will be 1st and 10 from that spot.
So that's Dylan Lord called for the penalty. So look at the bottom left of your screen here at the 20-yard line, and that's Lord throwing down a jackrabbit, and that's what drew the 15-yard infraction.
Now let's see if the Jackrabbits can capitalize on that, Tyler, because again, they have an active drive going right now.
Rittenhouse pressured, gets away from Claiborne. He could run, instead he'll throw, and unable to hang onto the ball, try to toe tap the far sideline, Sobkowitz.
And there's Rittenhouse showing some of that athleticism. Kobe Claiborne came free, had him dead to rights. Again, kind of shook him off right there, rolled out to his right, delivering a really nice strike, just almost got it just a little too far outside.
10th play of the drive coming up for the Redbirds. At the 42, second down. Still going is Glatz. Ullman able to haul him down after a 5-yard gain.
And this is the same exact play that Illinois State's going to continue to run. Very quick, inside zone, downhill, in your face. They haven't switched it up. They're targeting those tight A gaps, making sure that those linebackers are frozen. They're getting 4 to 8 yards every single play, Tyler.
Redbirds are 3 out of 5 on third downs today. And this may be 4-down territory at the 38 of SDSU. That's Lord in motion. Jack's blitz. Rittenhouse hangs in, and the ball tapped away from Sobkowitz. Aiden Dotterman the coverage again.
And it looks like, Tyler, they've switched some of the original game plan for the Jackrabbit defense. Aiden Dotterman has now been the one shadowing Sobkowitz, doing a really nice job out on the edge right there. He's a dangerous playmaker, and Aiden Dotterman is sticking with him step by step.
Hayden Futch, the sophomore punter out of Valdosta, Georgia, on for the first time today. Miles Taylor hanging around at the Jackrabbit 8. Futch's punt will end up in the end zone. Didn't have a lot of height on it, as it knuckled its way 2 yards into the end zone for a touchback. 38 on the punt. And the Jackrabbits still in search of their first down of the day. Will take over here deep in their own territory. First drive Illinois State has had that did not end in the end zone.
And one thing I think you want to see right now, again, just getting that first down, even if it's 3 straight run plays, Tyler, trying to get some of that momentum up front, especially with how they stunt every single play the Redbirds defense. You can hit one of those gaps, with a slant, you can definitely gash them.
So on first down, here is Julius Loffridge running left. And if he got a half a yard, that is it. I've got to go back a long time since SDSU gave up 28 points in the first quarter of a football game. And we have come to the end of the first quarter here in Brookings. What a start for the Redbirds. That is an uphill battle SDSU has in front of it. Senior day here on the campus of South Dakota State University, but all Redbirds 28-0. It's the visitors in control.
Here, we believe in doing good, even in
State, the Redbirds, 144 yards, and the Jackrabbits, -7. It's been a dominant first 15 minutes. And now the Jacks, 2nd and 10 from their own 20. Pass nearly intercepted. Kuntz got a hand on it. Couldn't reel it in.
And that was a good read by Jack Henry again. You had the corner blitz, and he was going right back to that kind of hot read option. That's what you're taught. So you're seeing some development by the young QB just a little bit outside to make the play there.
Jackrabbits 0 of 3 on 3rd downs. Josiah Johnson is to the quarterback's left. Henry runs up the middle, and he'll fall forward across the 23. And the Jackrabbits will send on the punt team.
And you're seeing some good push by Jackrabbits on some of these QB powers. Again, it's just the timing is a little bit off, because right there, coming in from the strong side is where they got Jack Henry. If he'd have been there maybe a quarter second ahead, there's a big crease there, Tyler. So again, that's some things that you're working through from an offensive standpoint of the little things that make a big difference.
Second time Stater's been called upon to punt. Eddie Casper winning on it. The wind will hold this up. It'll bounce just across midfield and take a rabbit hop inside the 40. The Jackrabbits tried to throw a Redbird player onto the football, but it'll be Illinois State ball.
You got to be really careful with that, Tyler, of not getting a flag. You can push an opposing team towards the ball, but physically grabbing them and dragging them and trying to throw them onto a football could potentially be a flag in that situation. So Jackrabbits were lucky right there.
40-yard punt from Stater, and Illinois State the ball at a 28-0 lead when you come back.
I'm your baby.
In the J. Dykow Stadium, the site of today's Missouri Valley Football Conference clash on the Integra Cooperative scoreboard, all the visiting Redbirds of Illinois State. It's interesting to only see one Missouri Valley Football Conference team in the top 10. That's North Dakota State. The winner of this game will pick up its 8th victory of the year and potentially be in that top 10. Boy, what a hole up the middle for Dawson, who rumbles his way into Jackrabbit territory. A gain of 16 to the 47-yard line of South Dakota State.
And this is something that you wonder right now with Cole McShane with the targeting penalty. With some of these reads, the linebackers maybe not trusting each other, being in sync with each other. They're missing some of these gaps because that was a big hole.
Dawson again, able to get around the corner. And Dawson was ready to lower that right shoulder. Then he went out of bounds instead for 11 more yards. Victor Dawson, the senior out of Akron, Ohio. 6 rushes, 48 yards. That's the 12th first down of the game for Illinois State. The Jacks still have not accomplished one offensive.
And right there is just a read fit, again, where we're almost going a gap over, allowing the Redbirds to have really some free running room.
Lord in motion. Rittenhouse amid a blitz. Hits Lord, who could not stay in bounds. Marked out at the 29 after a gain of 7.
And this is a really subtle thing here, Tyler, but when you're looking at Tommy Rittenhouse, he sensed that blitz coming in. He actually, when he got the ball, actually backed up a couple more steps, giving him some extra time to make a really easy pitch and catch out to Dylan Lord on the edge. So you see some of the maturity there from Tommy Rittenhouse.
If you're tuning in a little late, that score is correct. It's been an impressive opening of this game for the Redbirds, as Ullman and Leiferman bring down Victor Dawson after a minimal gain. Illinois State had a great kickoff return to open the game, converted on a 4th down, scored a touchdown, then a pick 6. SDSU threw it. Bauer, the INT, took it into the end zone. Then SDSU fumbled a kickoff. The Redbirds took advantage and scored. SDSU bobbled a snap on a punt. The Redbirds scored, and it's 28-0. On 3rd down, Rittenhouse's pass is hauled in by Maylander, who gets chucked to the turf by Taylor, but not before he picks up the first down. Luke Maylander, who has caught a ball in every contest this year, the redshirt freshman out of the Chicago suburb of Elmhurst, Illinois, picks up just enough to keep the drive going.
And right there, again, simple RPO run pass option. All he's doing is looking in the box, seeing is there enough guys to stop the run, or does he have one-on-one coverage to the outside? Saw the one-on-one coverage and a really nice pitch and catch there.
From the Jackrabbit 25, Dawson again, another big hitter. Look at him go out to the 17-yard line. 8 more on 1st down. So Dawson up to 57 on 8 attempts. Redbirds go tempo here.
I'm really shocked that you're not seeing some of this Jackrabbit defensive line stunting into these inside zones, because right now, again, that's the same exact play going right down the A-gap.
4th trip inside the Integra Cooperative red zone for South Dakota State. Defensively, as the Redbirds pick up 5 more, Dawson runs over Ullman en route to moving the sticks to the 12 of the Jackrabbits.
And the Redbirds are going to continue to do this same exact thing. They're looking at where's the safety, where's that Mike linebacker, where are they at in the fit, and then Tommy Rittenhouse is making the correct decision every single time. It's really impressive to watch right now.
Rittenhouse, the screen to Lord, and Dotterman able to hold him up. They'll give him the 10-yard line. It'll be 2nd down.
Aiden Dotterman on his senior night is really playing well. That's a tough tackle, going out to the field one-on-one with a really dangerous wide receiver in Dylan Lord, making that stop, because otherwise, again, there's only one person to beat.
10th play of this Illinois State drive. 2nd down, 8 to go at the 10-yard line of SDSU. Tommy Rittenhouse, the slant caught by Daniel Sobkowitz, his 3rd touchdown of the afternoon. And Illinois State pouring it on here in Brookings.
And there's only a certain amount of time, Tyler, unless you have a true next level corner that you can go one-on-one with Daniel Sobkowitz all the time. And that time it was Aiden Dotterman on an island by himself, and Rittenhouse to Sobkowitz connected for 6.
Matt Maldonado, 5th-year senior from Montgomery, Illinois, has been busy. And the kicker knocks it through the pipes. All Redbirds here in Brookings, a 35-0 2nd quarter lead.
This game on Farmers Union Insurance, simply different.
Illinois State, back-to-back impressive drives for touchdowns after scoring on some big plays early. And this a methodical march with the combination of Lord and Sobkowitz on the perimeter as Tommy Rittenhouse leading Illinois State to a 5-score lead.
And the Redbirds aren't doing anything unique, Tyler. It's letting Tommy Rittenhouse make the correct decision, make the right throw, make the right handoff, and the Redbirds are executing at a really high level. And the Jackrabbits right now seem to have no answers up to this point.
Miles Green, Jack Smith, the two men back to return the Maldonado kickoff. SDSU with 2 turnovers and 0 first downs 20 minutes into this game. Smith the fair catch. And again, you think back to a month ago, Illinois State was 4-3, blowing a double-digit fourth-quarter lead to Youngstown. Looking down the barrel, the Jacks were 7-0 when that day ended, but Chase Mason suffered the injury, and since then, the Redbirds 3 consecutive wins, 2 of them on the road. The Jackrabbits dropping 3 straight. Jack Henry, the 3rd different quarterback to start a game this year for SDSU. And now this score so far today. Henry on a play fake. And he finds Kuntz, the big tight end. And the biggest positive the Jacks have had all afternoon is Kuntz will put SDSU in Illinois State territory for the first time today. That's 27 yards to the Californian and the first down for SDSU.
Really nice job by Jack Henry selling that read, going out to the outside edge there, connecting with Kuntz with a nice pitch and catch for the first down here for the Jackrabbits today.
3 receivers. High snap. Henry did a job to corral it, then simply had to throw it away. But if he didn't get outside the pocket and there's nobody in the area, that could be a flag.
You're definitely right, Tyler. That was really, really close, and it almost didn't even get past the original line of scrimmage either. So if Jack Henry and the Jackrabbits kind of lucked out right there, because again, right now with the way the offense is sitting, any negative play has some really big consequences at this point.
SDSU has snapped the ball 15 times. Illinois State has 15 first downs. 2nd and 10 from the Redbird 48. Josiah Johnson on the cutback. Illinois State holds him up after about 5. Niekamp, first man on the scene, the All-American middle linebacker.
I'm really impressed by these freshman running backs for the Jackrabbits, Tyler. Outside zone, kept pushing, saw that turn back lane and got north and south in a hurry. So again, that stuff as a true freshman, that's hard to teach. So really a good stable of backs for years to come for this Jackrabbit offense.
5th third down attempt of the day. Jacks are 0 for 4 so far. Henry will run it himself, and he will pick up the first down. To the 37 of Illinois State, Henry for 6.
And now you're starting to feel some momentum from the Jackrabbit offense. This is exactly what we were talking about on QB Power. Just a quarter second off right there. They hit it in perfect timing. Instead of 3 yards, Tyler, now you're looking at 8 yards. So again, that's some of the differences, some of the details that if the Jackrabbits can continue to do that, could gain some momentum. Again, we're just looking at 8 minutes left here in the second quarter. There's still a lot of game left right now.
Delahoy late checking in, so the officials will hold up the Jackrabbit offense as things get settled here. Josiah Johnson rumbles his way to the 34 for close to 3. Cam Wilson, the corner first man there. This is the longest drive, any way you want to slice it for SDSU.
And that's part of the Illinois State Redbirds right there. There was a lot of green grass if it wasn't for Ty Niekamp wrestling him down right there. But again, good pickup on first down. That's an efficient pickup. So if the Jacks continue to do this, create some confidence right now.
Jack Henry, the redshirt freshman quarterback out of Del Rapids, his 2nd ever collegiate start, gives to Josiah Johnson, who does a good job of battling his way to the 31 for close to 3. Chase Mason suffering that injury at Murray State. 7th game of the year. Luke Marble finished the game and started the next 2, but was injured in that loss to Indiana State. And so Henry started and played the entire game at USD. And then it's been his game so far today. Marble is dressed, Chase Mason is not. I formation, Gustad ahead of Johnson. Johnson running right, and he will not get back to the line of scrimmage. The Redbird interior push led by Jake Anderson, the second-team All-Valley pick of a year ago and third-year starter.
And the Redbirds were ready for this. This is technically 12 personnel, Tyler, there's actually only 2 tight ends, but there's actually 6 offensive linemen out there. You saw as soon as they came out of the huddle, the Redbirds were up on the line of scrimmage, and they actually had 8 engaging on the line of scrimmage. So again, that's really tough to pick up. If you're the Jackrabbits, you're down a fitter.
Kyan Rauk is that 6th offensive lineman they'll send in. So here's 4th and 4 Jacks at the 31 of the Redbirds. Henry with a good pocket down the middle, catch made inside the 15. Graham Gorin, the Iowa City native. And the Jackrabbits are at the Redbird 13 after a gain of 18.
And this is some of the mocks we talked about pregame, Tyler. Again, clean pocket, letting that seam ball absolutely rip. Again, that's building confidence in a young quarterback like that, and a really nice reaching grab by Goring right there to extend this drive.
Jackrabbits first time in the Actegra Cooperative red zone. Jack Henry on the designed run and doesn't get anything. In fact, it almost looked like he wanted to pitch it out to Jack Smith at the end of that, and he loses a yard. Redbirds are so tough to run the football on consistently.
And that was a great example, again, as a young quarterback, just trusting where your eyes need to go. He saw that outside linebacker kind of peeking in, wasn't quite peeking in. If he had just followed that power, that guard pulling, we at least picked up a couple right there.
3 wides for Henry. Johnson the back to his right. Here comes the blitz. Henry sees an opening, takes off and runs. And he's into the end zone. Jack Henry for his first rushing touchdown as a collegiate.
That was a great run by Jack Henry, but let me tell you, Tyler, about the block that Josiah Johnson had coming across the boundary right there. Look at this block right here. This is a freshman absolutely tea-kettling that Mike linebacker trying to come up the gut. Wow, that is super impressive for a young running back.
You could see Anthony Corona take the shot and then almost just wilt like, you get it, right? I'm done. That was a heck of a block. The Jackrabbit running backs have done a good job all year in picking up blitzes. John Bell will hold because of the injury to Pelham, the starting punter who normally holds in these cases. The Stater kick is good. And a little bit of life here for South Dakota State. A 10-play, 75-yard drive gives the Jackrabbits their first points of the day.
This game on Midco Sports is presented by South Dakota State University. Build a better future with South Dakota State University. And
ensure you have the perfect coverage to protect each perfect moment. Farmers Union Insurance.
Well, it goes without saying the most impressive drive of the day for South Dakota State started with this play. Jack Henry on the rollout hits Kuntz, and it kind of settled the offense in.
Yeah, and that's something that, again, that's an easy pitch and catch. That's something that you practice a lot for a young quarterback, dragging that tight end across. And this is the ball that you saw even last game, those seam routes that Jack Henry really has some confidence in. Right here, we saw that again. Josiah Johnson coming across the formation, kicking out that blitzing linebacker, allowing to Jack Henry to use that athleticism of his to score 6 points there for the Jackrabbits to maybe get some momentum here.
This is Eli Stater, who's had to punt because of the injury to Pelham. He's going to kick off as well. So Stater channeling his inner Hunter Dustman, doing everything today.
I'm saying in a normal November, had to keep that leg warm, but it's a beautiful day out here today, Tyler.
This is a free football, too. It is picked up, and the Redbirds do get some positive yards out of it. Running out of bounds just shy of the 35 was Marquand Gary after a 13-yard return. Again, the winner of this game goes to 8-3. 8 wins has typically been a guarantee to get you in the playoffs out of the Valley. You never know for sure, but you feel really good. And if whoever wins this game moves on and gets a win next week and gets to 9, they're in the discussion to be a top 8 seed and have an opening round bye in the playoffs come late November. Seth Glatz, a run of about 3. Illinois State will be home to Southern Illinois, who is in a dogfight right now with South Dakota. Jackrabbits will be in Grand Forks next week facing a UND team who is 7-4 after winning earlier today at Murray State. It's a crazy year in the Missouri Valley. Glatz again. Boy, Illinois State has done a great job of creating holes in the middle of the line. They're just running through the A-gap time and again.
And so what that does on the RPO, it does freeze your linebackers saying, did he hand the ball off? Is he going to throw it? So obviously the Redbirds are seeing something on film. They're executing it today. This is a very simple offense right now, Tyler, and the Jackrabbits just can't seem to stop it.
Why complicate things when you don't need to? Glatz breaks a tackle. Ball is loose. It was knocked free by Jalen Lee, and South Dakota State comes up with it. The recovery made by Isaiah Johnson, but it was Lee who knocked it free.
And that's exactly what kind of play the Jackrabbit defense needed. Again, getting gouged in the run game, you had to get a turnover right there to at least have a shot at making a comeback, being down 35-7 right now. But again, huge job. That's a big-time tackle by Jalen Lee. Nice job in the recovery as well.
Just the 6th lost fumble of the year by the Redbird offense. And so South Dakota State with a sliver of life here at the 44 of the Redbirds. Henry off the play fake, hung in, goes deep into double coverage, and it's picked off. Illinois State comes right back with it. 3rd turnover of the day forced by Illinois State. And making the interception was Dexter Niekamp.
Number 44, Dexter Niekamp.
The redshirt freshman, son of the defensive coordinator, the younger brother of the All-American middle linebacker, and Niekamp down there in coverage, able to come up with the INT.
And I get what the Jackrabbits are trying to do right off a turnover, trying to get a big play right there. But you get a sense, Tyler, again, with a redshirt freshman quarterback at the helm, again, just late getting that blitz pickup right there by Julius Lawfridge, allowing Jack Henry to get his arm knocked down, causing an interception.
And Jack Dwyer, again, was the man who pressured Henry to his right. Threw off the timing and that throw a little bit as well. So Illinois State back at it from its own 27. Screen pass. Casper makes one man miss, and then the convoy arrives. Combination of Ullman and Leiferman.
And again, same thing for the Illinois State Redbirds offense. I'm surprised that they went with this kind of read option zone going out kind of the wide receiver screen, because they've been pounding the Jackrabbits on the RPO style offense all day.
Well, Mason, that's the 43rd snap for Illinois State, the first to go backwards today. Speaking to the success the Redbirds have had on offense. The pass batted up into the air, incomplete. Deflected at the line of scrimmage. It'll be third down.
And right here, good job. I didn't pick up that number, Tyler, but again, good job by the Jackrabbit defensive line, knowing that you're not going to get there, trying to get a hand up, trying to get a deflection right there, setting up a really big third down, third and long here. The Redbirds have not been in this situation, to your point, Tyler, all game.
Third and long. Rittenhouse feels the pressure from Claiborne, rolls away from it. Now he'll run, and he sprints to the 34-yard line, took a tumble on the SDSU sideline. But he did not get to the 37. That's where he needed. He's a couple of yards shy of the sticks. It's fourth down.
And a really heads-up play right there by that wide receiver to the boundary, trying to, because the Jacks were in man coverage right there, so he saw him coming. Eddie Casper made it look like he was still going out for a pass right there, Tyler. Didn't pick it up, but again, that was really close. Heads-up play by the Redbirds.
So Miles Taylor back to return. The Hayden Futch punt. Second punt of the day for Futch. It's a line drive kick. Heck of a catch by Taylor at his own 16, and the ball pops free. It's loose inside the 5, and it'll end up out of bounds. That's a heads-up play by the Jackrabbit, Max Stannard, the redshirt freshman safety out of Manhattan, Kansas, to ensure that ball could not be recovered in bounds.
And again, things that could go wrong continue to go wrong. That could have been absolutely disastrous. To your point, Tyler, heads-up play, not trying to just get on the ball, but again, if you just push it out of bounds, that continues to be a Jackrabbit possession. So really nice job by Max Stannard right there, just saving the possession for the Rabbits.
Meanwhile, the insanity continues. USD overcame a 17-point fourth quarter deficit, took the lead at Southern Illinois, but the Salukis hit a field goal with 1 second left, and that game is going to overtime in Carbondale. The loser of that game will suffer its 5th defeat of the year and be all but eliminated from playoff contention. Jacks start at their own 4. Loffridge backing his way across the 5 near the 6. If the Jackrabbit offense can find a way to do something here, it's a tough ask being this far in their own territory against this Redbird defense. Knowing you have the ball to start the third quarter, there would be a glimmer of hope here for the Jackrabbits. But again, it's an uphill battle as we reach the 2-minute timeout. 2 minutes to play here at Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium. And number 14, Illinois State, with a 35-7 lead on the Integra Cooperative scoreboard.
What is generation?
Back in Brookings, and coming up at the break on our halftime show, Travis Anderberg, SDSU alum, doing some great things in rural South Dakota communities. And Andrew Gusted, Goose as they call him, who is reminding us that fullbacks are people too, alive and well. All that plus first half stats, highlights, analysis from Mason Lyseth, and more coming up at the break. Sun is now shining brightly. Felt like it was 9 o'clock at night on that first down snap. Now it feels like early morning on second down. High snap, Henry able to come up with it. And Basinger on the run to about the 7. And Illinois State will take a timeout. So the Redbirds are trying to force SDSU to have to punt from deep in its own territory. Jacks are facing a 3rd and 7 at their own 7. If you're a little late to this party, Illinois State, a great kickoff return to open things, converted a 4th down score, then a pick 6 SDSU threw on 3rd down on its opening possession. Then the following kickoff, SDSU dropped a fair catch. The Redbirds were able to jump on it, go in and score. Then the Redbirds force a 3 and out. The Jacks drop the snap on the punt. Illinois State is able to convert for a touchdown. So the Redbirds just got off to such a great start that SDSU didn't even know what hit them, and it was down 28-0.
Yeah, if you could even script a movie of what could potentially go wrong, it went wrong, Tyler. So Jackrabbits have a hole here. Let's see if they can continue to dig themselves out.
See in the top left corner of your screen, Southern Illinois scored on its first play of overtime. Salukis by 7. Coyotes will have the ball momentarily. Henry from his own end zone. Pass is caught by Alex Bullock for a first down. The redshirt freshman quarterback from the checkerboard hits Bullock for a gain of 11.
Really confident throw. Jack Henry sitting in there. Nice job by Alex Bullock. Sitting inside that zone, feeling where the defense is at for a really big first down pickup to get him out of their end zone.
Then Henry over the middle, and the tight end Gannon has it. Not quite a first down, so the clock will be in motion to the 29 until Dan Jackson takes a timeout with 1:32 left here in the half.
You can feel that Jack Henry is starting to settle in a little bit here, Tyler, as things goes on, which isn't surprising being a redshirt freshman, but he's making some really nice reads, settling in, making some nice throws on the run too as well.
And it's interesting too, and maybe I'm overanalyzing it, it just seems like Henry throws his best balls right down the middle of the field.
Yeah, especially when you're a young quarterback, that's generally the throws that you've been accustomed to making. Those really odd to the field, those really deep out routes, kind of skinny posts, that's kind of that next level type of thing. So he's getting into his comfort zone, again, seeing where he can press the football, and that's boding well right now because Illinois State is almost daring the Jackrabbits to throw the ball because they got 8 guys in the box almost every single play.
So 2nd and 1, Jacks still have 2 timeouts, 1:32 till the break. Flag down. Free play for Henry, who is running for his life, but he'll pick up a good gain. Look at Jack Henry go. And then he got hit out of bounds. How about this? And Henry showing some emotion. The run will be good. We'll see. I believe they're going to officially spot him back at the 45. If that's the case, it's a gain of 16. Then you're going to tack 15 more on at the end here, Mason.
And here's a really good job by James Basinger, again, another redshirt freshman running back coming in, making that block downfield. Jack Henry getting fired up. You want to see some of that emotion out of these young quarterbacks.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Offsides. Defense number 4. That penalty is declined. After the play, personal foul. Late hit out of bounds. Defense number 45. 15-yard penalty added to the end of the run. And an automatic first down.
Officially a 21-yard gain for Henry. They put him out at midfield, the longest run of the day for SDSU, and then 15 more. Well, actually, no, because they're putting it at the 40, they actually marked it back to the 45, so it's a 16-yard gain officially. Jackrabbits at the Redbird 40, and now hang on.
Please reset the game clock to 1:24. 1:24. Thank you.
That's an example there. Mo Lynch, our replay official, is able to communicate with the crew, even if they don't stop things. And he said, hey, the clock is wrong. Let's fix it. That's a good job by the replay booth at the north end of the stadium. All right, at the 40-yard line of Illinois State. Early movement again, another flag. Henry over the middle, diving and making the catch. Creighton Gannon. That's 7 yards. Jacks have to decide here if they want 2nd and 3 or 1st and 5. And you think back to the Indiana State game, Henry looked good in the 2-minute drill in that game late. And then he ran it to perfection, leading the Jacks to a score in Vermilion last
defense, number 56. That penalty is declined. Remain second down.
And one thing to that point, Tyler, when you're in that 2-minute drill, you're not overthinking things. When you're a young quarterback, even a young player regardless, when you're in that 2-minute drill, you don't have that 10 seconds between when the play is called, play is snapped, and you're off and you're trying to look. It's almost like, hey, you're natural, you're in your flow state. So again, you're kind of seeing that from a young quarterback like Jack Henry.
USD scored a touchdown on 4th down to force a second overtime in Carbondale. Henry, a quick throw over the middle. Gannon lassoed to the turf, but it's a 1st down gain to the 25 of the Redbirds. A lot of time for SDSU with 1:16 and still 2 timeouts in the back pocket.
And when you're blitzing all the time, these are exactly the reads that Jack Henry needs to make. Those are hot routes, just tight end replacement. Those are high option throws in order to make that 1st down pitch and catch. So that's something, as we're going into the second half, Tyler, I think the Jackrabbits can focus a little bit more on, because that's just basic hot read, zone pickups, and you're saying, all right, where do I need to sit to replace this blitzing linebacker, corner, or safety? So that's a really good job by this offense kind of settling into things here late in the second quarter.
This is the 9th play of this SDSU drive. Remember, it started back at the Jackrabbit 4 after the fumble on the punt return. SDSU at the Redbird 25, 2nd down and 10. Blitz comes. Henry throwing to Bullock, who looks back into the sun, makes the catch, gets shoved out of bounds after a gain of maybe 3 by Dorian DeBose.
And that's a throw that is a confident throw, and that's a really high-risk throw when you're a young quarterback. Going out to the boundary, really a skinny out route right there. Eyes in his face by Bullock. Really good concentration. Again, like you said, Tyler, sun is his eyes, making the catch, going out of bounds to save some time.
Henry 10 of 17 for 86 yards today. 3rd down, Redbirds bring the house. Henry incomplete for Jack Smith. Closing gap was Cam Wilson, the 5th-year senior corner out of Cedar Hill, Texas.
And the Jackrabbit fans want a flag here. Let's see this replay, Tyler. Did he get his head around? No, there was really nothing there. Again, there wasn't an impediment to the ball. He didn't force him out of his spot. If he'd have pushed him maybe a couple more yards, Tyler, I could see it. But again, that's a good no call, letting him play.
Henry 5 of 7 for 41 yards on this drive, but has to have 6 here from the Illinois State 21. It's 4th down. Basinger the back, 3 wides left. Here comes the blitz. Henry will throw, and it's caught to the 6-yard line. Jack Smith hauls it in. Second time today. Henry, incomplete. Bullock, the closest man. Kuba, Illinois State's best corner, had the coverage.
We'll go back to that 4th down pickup, Tyler. Really nice job again. Illinois State sent 8 guys. You can't block 8 guys. He rolled out very quickly, was able to find that open wide receiver again. You're seeing some of this confidence kind of settling in right now, especially in the second quarter, for a young quarterback like that. So again, who knows what the rest of this series might look like, but the Jackrabbits have some momentum right now going into the end zone.
13th play of this drive that has covered 90 yards for SDSU. Basinger running to the right. And he's inside the 5 to the 4. Jackrabbits have 2 timeouts, but they will save them here. Or will they? No, Dan Jackson finally does take it. They didn't right away, and then Jackson uses timeout number 2 with 35 seconds left. If you're SDSU, your best case scenario here, get in the end zone right before half. Don't let anything happen before the end of the half. And then you get the ball to start the second half, go down and score, and all of a sudden things get a little interesting. If you're Illinois State, you can nip this thing in the bud right here on this drive, it feels like.
Yeah, this is, again, a major series right now. We're looking at, for the Jackrabbits, a 3rd and 4 or 3rd and goal to go at this point. And to your point, Tyler, yeah, if they can keep even a field goal at this point for the Jackrabbits, Tyler, it feels like almost an insurmountable task. But if it's a touchdown going into the second half and going into halftime, you kind of feel a little bit of momentum if you're a Jackrabbit fan. Then Illinois State saying, hey, we're on the road. We got high stakes. Can we keep this up? Because, again, winning that 8th game, as we were talking about pregame, that's the magical number. So, again, both teams trying to chase that.
So 3rd down and goal from the Illinois State 4. Basinger is the back to the right of Henry. Smith, Bullock, and Goring, 3 wides left. Smith with a good pocket. He'll roll left. Incomplete pass. In fact, it almost looked like reaching out and getting a hand on it was Niekamp, who was in pursuit, and it's 4th down.
And the Redbirds went opposite right there. They only rushed forward, dropped everyone back, trying to compress some of those zones in that end zone. Really not giving Jack Henry or these wide receivers many places to go with the football.
Jacks are 2 of 3 today on 4th downs. This will be their 25th 4th down attempt of the year. And they virtually have to have this. And now a timeout. Illinois State takes its final of the first half. Again, you win this game, you go to 8 wins. And you have a chance next week to get to 9, whoever comes out of this one victorious. The loser almost has to win next week. A lot on the line here. And you look at the Valley standings, and we've had a chance to, we'll get to do it again. All those 7-win teams, I mean, there's a lot of significant games on the docket next week. Virtually everybody, it seems like, will be vying for its playoff life on the final Saturday of the year. Here we go again with 4th down, goal to go. Here comes the blitz. Henry's pass caught wide open as Braden Delahoy. 2 receptions on the year, both for touchdowns for the young man out of Spearfish.
And really nice job again, Jack Henry staying poised. Alex Bullock comes across the formation. He can tell right away that they're in zone. He knows that there's going to be gaps, especially if you're going to throw a 2-3 blitzers into that. Really nice pitch and catch again. Jackrabbits kind of feel like they have momentum here, Tyler. Let's see if they can continue to convert going forward.
The Jacks realign here. They're going to direct snap this to Delahoy, who will then lob the ball to the back of the end zone, and it was knocked away from Gannett. Covered by Dorian Dubose, the corner. So the Jacks a little razzle-dazzle on special teams, but it goes for naught.
And I get the concept behind that, Tyler, but right now you feel like you'd rather have another point on the board just to continue that momentum versus a dead play going for 2 right now. They're letting some risk go on.
Well, Mason, things are getting crazier in Carbondale. Each team a touchdown and a 2-point conversion in the second overtime. So they are headed to the 3rd overtime, which means it's a battle of 2-point conversions in Carbondale. And reiterating why that game is so important, USD is 7-4, Southern 6-4. The Coyotes do not have a game next week, so if they lose, they're 7-5, and all they have left to hope for is to be on the bubble. If Southern wins, it's 7-4, and Southern will have Illinois State in Normal next weekend.
And that has huge implications. You're going to feel like there's going to be a 7-win team that's going to be outside looking in saying, I should have been there. And these are the games that you're looking at, 49-49 out in Carbondale. It almost feels like a Big 12 game, Tyler, with that kind of score, almost a double 50-burger.
Staters kickoff, fair catch called for and made inside the 15-yard line by Marquand Garrett. Well, South Dakota State digging itself a big hole. And then the fumble on the punt return, having to start inside of its own 5, and the Jacks go all the way down. Henry, a couple of 4th down conversions through the air. And the Jacks do have some life here.
And if you're looking at the total yards right now, 238 to 152. So if it wasn't for those crazy turnovers, Tyler, you're kind of feeling like this is a real barn burner going into the second half. So right now, again, we'll see what adjustments the Jackrabbits can make. We'll see adjustments the Redbirds can make to see who comes out victorious coming out of halftime.
Well, certainly a tale of 2 quarters for this South Dakota State football team. -4 total yards in the first, 156 in the second. The head coach of the Jacks, Dan Jackson, is with us. And coach, some momentum here in the final 5 minutes of this second quarter after just a really rough start.
Yeah, when we don't shoot ourselves in the foot, we can get some momentum right there. So too many mistakes in the first half. That's on me. I got to have us ready to go to make sure that we execute, especially on special teams. But when we get some momentum, you can see Jackson Henry can make some plays, and the offense can move it, and the defense got a takeaway there. So I just got one play at a time in the second half.
Coach, appreciate your time. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Dan Jackson, the head coach of SDSU, South Dakota State, trying to climb out of a big hole, but it will be Jackrabbit football when the second half begins. At the break on the Tegra Cooperative scoreboard, it's Illinois State, a 35-13 lead over South Dakota State. (35-13) lead at the break over South Dakota State. Welcome inside our broadcast booth here at Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium. It's the goal of all of us to make an impact in the lives of those closest to us, but others as well. And no one does a better job than this young man, an SDSU alum, who is helping those in rural communities in this state get the health care and medicine that they need.
My name is Travis Anderberg. I graduated with my Doctor of Pharmacy from South Dakota State University, and I am president of Miller Rexall Drug. Choosing SDSU as the pharmacy of choice offered one of the best, most elite pharmacy programs at that time for this area and even for the country. After graduating from pharmacy school, my wife and I decided that our go anywhere from here was to return back to our hometown and start working in the pharmacy there and raising our kids where we went to school. Loved it here, so we decided to start buying into the pharmacy after a couple of years. And the next thing you know, it's 18 years later, and we now have a total of 6 pharmacies with other partners and serving rural South Dakota. When we started expanding on pharmacies, it was more so to keep pharmacies open and viable in rural areas. So we had to start branching out and figuring out how to keep them viable versus closing down. The favorite part of my day is definitely getting to see all my customers, which are basically like family. All of our customers realize the importance of us serving them, and so they are very loyal to us. We cover about 100 square miles in central South Dakota. If 2 of our pharmacies were to close down, people would have to travel well over 60 miles to get the same health care or service. I would say that we kind of owe SDSU quite a bit for what they've done for my wife and I and our family. So we try to offer scholarships and try to attend their events. My education at SDSU, not only did it prepare me to come back into a job like this, I felt I could have went anywhere across the country and got a job and been successful in it. I think knowing that you're the person that people come to for health information, but sometimes it's about way more than that. Sometimes it's on raising your kid questions, or it might be how to grill something.
Our thanks to Travis for all he does for so many in need. And, of course, you can find out more about some of the great alums at South Dakota State University by logging on to sdstate.edu. We continue along with our halftime festivities here at Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium in Brookings. The Redbirds a 35-13 lead.
In this life chapter, you're putting you first.
State, that tremendous start of the Redbirds, a 35-13 lead over South Dakota State. There are obviously stars on the gridiron and players you know so much about. Then there are those that do the little things that don't always earn the headlines, but they're glue guys or locker room guys, as the coaches call them, who help unite a team and bring everyone together. And a perfect example of that is a former walk-on from Volin, South Dakota, fullback Andrew Gustad.
I'm Andrew Gustad. I'm from Volin, South Dakota, and I'm majoring in civil engineering. I always wanted to play here since I was little, just been a fan. Even like when it was like used to be Kaufman and Lemon, I remember sitting kind of by the edge watching the older players go. Yeah, I've always just been a fan, been a dream of mine to play for the Jags. I just love South Dakota, grew up here. I've been a Jags fan my whole life, kind of just like loyal, but then also like I just love it here. I don't see myself anywhere else.
Junior tight end Andrew Gustad graduated from Gayville Volin High School and was not on coach's radars as he searched for a future home. Then, It was John Stiglmeyer who gave Gusted a chance.
Senior year, I emailed Stig, seeing if I could try out, because I wasn't really highly recruited. I wanted to try out, see if I could make the team, and he was saying that fall, the first fall that they won the Natty, the 2022, they were already full, but I could try out in that spring. So that's what I did, tried out. That's when Rogers first took over. I tried out as linebacker. That didn't really go well, but they said I could stay on the team if I switched over to tight end.
The SDSU offensive staff calls Gusted the most efficient player on the field. Every time he has touched the ball this season, it has either gone for a first down or a touchdown.
Well, on the passes, I first think don't drop it, and then on dives, I think don't fumble it. I was just blessed to be put in easier positions. Maybe like the 2 touchdowns, all I really had to do was just run, which is I'm very thankful for. And then the dives, it makes it really easy when I've already passed a first down marker because of the O-line. So I'm just grateful for the people around me.
After Gusted's second touchdown of the season on Hobo Day against Northern Iowa, in one of the best moments of the season, tight ends coach Vince Benedetto headbutted Gusted. It's something that goes a little bit deeper than just during the games.
Well, the headbutt's kind of a tradition that we have now. We'll do it sometimes in practice, but always it's like a pre-game thing when everyone's kind of hugging each other, saying love you, like last play. He always comes up. He's like, all right, ready, Goose? And then takes his hat off and then just gives me a nice, good headbutt to get going for the day. After I scored that second touchdown, I was coming back to the sideline. I see us take his hat off. I'm like, oh, this will probably be a pretty good one. And then he let me have it. That was harder than usual, so I knew that hurt his head.
This Jackrabbit team has faced plenty of adversity since the end of last season. But this group of Jackrabbits are always up for the challenge.
If we're down in a game or we're not having the best game, it's we've come back from worse than this. We know that we just need to keep pushing through, just stay the course, as Coach Benedetto always says when we're not kind of getting the drives going that we want. Yeah, it just kind of lets us know that we've gone through tough things together and we'll stick it out and we'll stick with each other and we know that we have each other's backs.
Our thanks to SDSU students Brent Bowen and Austin Sanger for putting that package together on Andrew Gusted. Fun to find out more about the Jackrabbit fullback. As we go to halftime, of course, we are in the midst of this week honoring all of those who have served this great country of ours. So we thank you to the veterans. The Pride of the Dakotas thanks them as well. Halftime stats and highlights when you return to Brookings. control at the break, but SDSU a little bit of momentum there at the end of the half, and it'll be Jackrabbit ball when the third quarter begins. Welcome back inside our broadcast booth here at Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium with Mason Lyseth. I'm Tyler Merriam. Great to have you with us. It was as good of a start as Illinois State could have hoped for, but SDSU able to put something together there at the end of the half, so the Jackrabbits making things interesting here.
Really making things this interesting. It's obviously going to be an uphill climb potentially, Tyler, but you're seeing some life from the Jackrabbits. Obviously, winning that 8th game, we've talked about that ad nauseum. They're trying to strive for that. So we're going to see maybe some more fireworks here in the second half.
Well, if you just tuned in wondering how do we get to this point, aren't you lucky that the Avera Orthopedics first half highlights will tell you all about it. It starts with the opening drive. Daniel Sobkowitz, this beautiful catch from Tommy Rittenhouse to put the visitors on top.
And you can see Tommy Rittenhouse and his chemistry with Sobkowitz. It's absolutely apparent they are dialed in right now.
Preston Bauer, the pick six, 3 minutes in, Illinois State with a 14-0 lead. Then SDSU with a special teams miscue, and it is Rittenhouse who dives for the end zone as the Redbirds continue their climb. They led this thing 28-0. 9 minutes into the game and took a 35-0 lead on this scoring toss to Sobkowitz, his third receiving touchdown of the day.
And he has been a high-level wide receiver for a long time in the Missouri Valley, Tyler. You're really seeing that on display again. Big-time players make big-time plays in these moments, trying to get to that 8th win. He's doing all he can for the Redbirds.
Jack Henry making the cheer and dance teams happy with the 14-yard touchdown run. Then he hits Braden Delahoyd on 4th down. The Jackrabbits had failed on 12 straight 4th downs this season until the last drive when they hit for 3 4th downs en route to that score. Again, you look at the yardage numbers, it's not that decisive, but SDSU with 3 turnovers, the first 2 early in the game that handed Illinois State great field position, and to the Redbirds' credit, they capitalized.
They absolutely capitalize, especially when you're talking about inside their own territory. Those are where the huge turnovers happen, Tyler, and they seem to come in waves and waves coming after the Jackrabbits. And to the Redbirds' credit, they capitalized on that. So, again, it's a reset going into the second half. And we'll see what happens. Again, this is college football. We've seen it across the Missouri Valley landscape today with some high-scoring games and a lot of fireworks.
And speaking of that, let's take a look at what else happened today in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. North Dakota, a sluggish start at Murray State, but gets the victory, so the Fighting Hawks get to 7 wins. Likewise for Youngstown State, a big second half at home against Indiana State. And it just went final in Carbondale. South Dakota ends the regular season 8-4 with a 5-overtime victory over Southern Illinois. So the Salukis will be at Illinois State next week, but you feel like they'll be on the outside looking in. They're 6-5 with a non-D1 win.
Hey.
So South Dakota State and Illinois State getting set for the second half from Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium in Brookings. It'll be SDSU ball when you return. The Redbirds a 35-13 halftime edge.
Thanks for watching the Jackrabbit
quarter, Illinois State a 35-13 lead over South Dakota State. Let's take a look back at how we have arrived at this point for the Redbirds. Again, taking advantage of some SDSU miscues, scoring touchdowns on 4 of their first 5 possessions. But the SDSU defense did settle in there near the end of the half, forcing the 1 turnover, although they turned it back over on the next possession. SDSU offensively got things going after, again, a very rough start. SDSU had negative total yards at the end of the first quarter, but 2 impressive touchdown drives, particularly going 96 yards in the final 2 minutes against a good Redbird defense.
And that's a good confidence boost for this Jackrabbit offense going into the second half right now. Again, where you saw tale of really 2 quarters right there, Tyler. One, almost nothing going on for the Jackrabbits. Then it turned up steam. And then for the Redbirds, not as much going on offensively in the second quarter either. So, again, a lot of room to make up for the Jackrabbits. Obviously, Redbirds with a lot to fight for. But we got full 30 minutes left here in the second half left.
This feels like a pivotal possession. If SDSU is able to put something together and find its way into the end zone, all of a sudden it's a brand new ball game. If that Redbird defense rises up, then all of a sudden Illinois State maintains its control. Deepest kick of the day for Maldonado. Jack Smith, a fair catch in the checkerboard on the south end of the stadium. So Jackrabbit ball at their own 25.
And you're absolutely right, Tyler. This might be the biggest drive of this young Jackrabbit team's identity so far this year.
And in the first half, Jack Henry, 12 of 22 for 109 yards, 2 interceptions, and the touchdown to Delahoy. Jack, 17 rushes for just 43 yards. Henry had a 16-yarder himself, so that tells you it's been tough sledding on the ground. Henry to throw. First down yardage and a little more, bouncing off 1 tackle. Graham Goring to the 37. 12 yards for Goring, second reception of the afternoon.
And you're seeing this again, a little bit of a change on the offensive side of the ball for the Jackrabbits. Some of these quick hitters trying to offset some of those quick blitzes by the Redbirds.
Henry out close to the 40. Cam Wilson, the corner, comes up and brings him down after a gain of about 3. That's one area when Henry takes off. He doesn't run like a runner, he runs like an athlete.
He definitely runs like an athlete. Again, the Del Rapids prospect is used to, again, using it as athleticism in some of these. Looks like we got a flag here, Tyler.
Yep, play is blown dead. Basinger had a good blitz pickup.
False start. Offense. All 11 players were not set prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
They're supposed to be set for 1 full second before anything happens. Jacks were not. Just the 3rd penalty of the day on South Dakota State. Redbirds led this game 35-0 with 10 minutes left in the second quarter. The Jacks scoring on 2 of their final 3 possessions of the second quarter, and now the ball to open the third. Trying to climb back into this thing. Henry on 2nd and long. Smith able to haul it in amid 2 Redbird defenders. It's LaShavion Brown, the strong safety, who brings him down at the 44. And it'll set up a 3rd and 3.
And you can really tell by the Redbirds have a high level of focus on number 19, Jack Smith. He has been an absolute force the last couple of games with Ograssi going out. So again, really nice pitch and catch there by Jack Henry out to the edge.
3rd down pass incomplete though, and now what will Dan Jackson do? The Jackrabbits trailing by 3 scores, looking at a 4th down and 3, and the Jacks will go for this. Again, they have converted 3 consecutive 4th downs in this game. They need 3. Illinois State, so tough to recognize what it'll do defensively. Brings 4. Henry dumps it off to Basinger, who will dive for the 1st down. Submarining in was Shadwell Kuba, the talented corner, and Basinger was able to do just enough to dive over him and keep the drive going for the yellow and blue.
And that's a heads-up play by that freshman, James Basinger, right there, knowing that he absolutely has to get the sticks on 4th down, diving across to ensure that he got it. Again, these freshman running backs of the Jackrabbits are really impressive, Tyler. And the more reps they get, I think it's going to become a more formidable force. It's almost, you're feeling a little bit of that Isaiah Davis kind of Pierre Strong, where you saw some of those flashes, Tyler, but after that first year going into their second, you saw that really explode onto the main scene.
Well, the same thing with a quarterback. I mean, we could think back to Taryn Christian's debut, and he was not nearly the quarterback he would become. It takes time. On 2nd and 10 after the incompletion, Henry evades pressure and gets ridden out of bounds. Should have gotten rid of that football when he got near the sideline. Instead, because he got hit out, that's a loss of close to 7, and the Jacks are in 3rd and long now.
And again, we were just talking about the repetition side, Tyler. More experienced quarterback can sense that, make sure that they're not getting behind the sticks right there. That's just going to be a learning moment for Jack Henry going forward.
Dexter Niekamp, who had the interception earlier, runs him down. First sack of the day for the Redbirds. Now this 3rd down for SDSU from its own 43. Jacks need 16, Henry's number. And he will get sacked again. And it's Dexter Niekamp again. What a day the redshirt freshman out of Normal, Illinois, the hometown kid, has had this afternoon.
Really impressive, just sideswipe there coming off the edge. It looked like Kenyon Bigbo was thinking that Jack Henry was going to step up in the pocket a little bit more to force him by, but created a soft edge, allowing him to get that big sack there on 3rd down.
Still haven't seen Pelham since that first punt when he dropped the snap and then got sandwiched. So Stater is back to punt. Redbirds do not come after it. This will bounce and take a great SDSU hop. Casper picks it up to avoid it being even worse. It's actually a smart play, because if he doesn't, that could have cost the Redbirds 10 or 15 more yards. And instead, he'll fall on it, no return. Punt to 41 and a timeout on the field. 3 minutes down in our 3rd quarter. Redbird ball leading 35-13.
School is back, and Dimmick Cheese wants to help with your fundraising.
Is presented by Sanford Health, the exclusive orthopedics and sports medicine provider of the Jackrabbits.
With our producer, Carolyn Rosinski, director Corey Wilson, and our entire Midco Sports crew, Mason Lyseth, I'm Tyler Merriam. Former Jackrabbits and their children in the house. It's always good to see. Jackrabbit tight end Cam Jones. First down run, and a good one for Dawson. He picks up 8 to the 35. Illinois State with 121 rushing yards to SDSU's 30 today. And some of that, of course, because of the big lead the Redbirds had early that threw the Jackrabbit game plan off some.
That's some of it, Tyler, but this RPO is really sticking to these backers for the Jackrabbit defense, freezing them right there. Again, good job, though, recovering right there, but Jackrabbits actually sent a blitz right there trying to cover that up. So maybe that's something that in the second half the defense has to do a little bit more of to try to get the Redbirds off their spot.
Lee and Ullman combined for the tackle, and it's 3rd and 1 for Illinois State. Redbirds 4 out of 8 on 3rd downs today. And they are 23 for their last 36. They have been very good on 3rd downs as of late. under the guidance of quarterback Tommy Rittenhouse. Dawson straight up the gut, a big gainer, breaking a tackle, and gets run down across the 45 to the 46 by Bryce Johnson as Dawson goes for 10. He's up to 81 yards on 12 attempts.
And there's nothing fancy about that, Tyler. The Redbirds have obviously schemed this up to make sure that those linebackers are getting a tough job, and it is directly off that center's back hip every single time. So good job on the scheme for the Redbirds and obviously optimizing that for the future.
Rittenhouse cannot escape. He felt the pressure coming from Jace Syfor, who records his 3rd sack of the season.
And that chain gang, number 91, Jace Syfor.
And a really nice job here. I'm surprised that the Redbirds are trying to go with these deep dropbacks, being up so far, especially when you're getting a quarterback pressure right now. Putting the Redbirds behind the sticks, this only bodes well for the Jackrabbit defense, putting them in these kind of positions.
So 2nd and 16. Dawson again.
Number 5, Victor.
That's a gain of nearly 7. It'll be 3rd down and 9. Bryce Johnson makes the tackle.
Gain of about 6 on the play.
And right here, it's a pick your poison deal where linebackers are frozen. He's waiting to see, is the A gap covered up? Can I go to the B gap? And kind of just picking where his spot's at. And they're getting, again, 5+ yards of carry right now, Tyler, running the same play.
3rd and 9. Redbirds 5 on a 9 on 3rd downs today. Converted one a moment ago. Jack's blitz, it's picked up. Rittenhouse's pass is incomplete. There was quite a battle on the far side between Isaiah Johnson, the corner, and Sobkowitz, the wideout.
That was Miles Taylor on the coverage.
And the refs are definitely letting them play out there on the edge, Tyler. We've seen multiple scenarios where potentially could go either way on pass interference, either on the offense or defense. And again, good battles. Good to see that in late November football.
Hayden Futch will punt. Miles Taylor waiting inside of his own 10. Futch got rid of it. High spiral. Taylor called for a fair catch. It'll bounce and then roll inside the 10. What a roll for Futch and the Redbirds. It'll die at the 3-yard line. Now we do have a flag, multiple flags, back where the punt was sent away by Futch. It's a 51-yarder.
51-yard punt for the Redbirds.
The officials are sorting things out here with the Illinois State sideline. Brock's back is confirming whom the flag is on, and then what the penalty would be if they can add it to the end of the punt here, or if he has to just decline it and take the ball where it is.
Running into the kicker on the defense. That penalty is declined. 1st down.
So on running into the kicker, they don't tack it on, so the decision was simply, do you re-kick or not? That's a tough one. Here's one more. Let's see. Oh, he did kind of clip that plant play. Certainly only a 5-yard penalty.
Certainly only a 5-yard penalty for sure, Tyler. Normally you're seeing in games they're kind of letting that slide, kind of similar to the NBA flopping rule. But again, no harm, no foul there. Beautiful punt, rolling it down right here on the 3-yard line. Let's see if the Jackrabbit offense can get some of that momentum similar to the first half on a 96-yard drive.
Second time the Jacks have started inside of their own 5. Henry goes under center. And the run will yield 3 yards out to the SDSU 6. It was Josiah Johnson who had the carry.
3-yard gain on the play out to the 6-yard line.
And this is where some of the repetition will come into play. I really like the downhill physicality of Josiah Johnson. Sometimes you have to pick your poison, though, where just a hair second decision that he could have came across back to the backside A-gap. There's a lot of room there, but again, good momentum, 1st down efficiency right there, getting 3.
Henry back under center. It's Johnson again. Out across the 10, close to the 12. We're marking him just past the 11, so 3rd and a yard and a half for SDSU. Midway point of the 3rd quarter approaching, and the Jacks trailing it by 22 after being behind 35-0 in the 2nd quarter.
And we've heard from offensive coordinator Coach Eidsness on getting to these 3rd and shorts, 3rd and manageables that really opens up the playbook to allow a lot of different options for the offense. So gives them some good opportunities here for Jack Henry and his Jackyard offense.
4 wides for Henry. Rolling into trouble, and he won't escape it. Henry down for a loss of 1. Redbirds just all around able to gobble up Jack Henry there.
And as your young quarterback, this is one thing that as soon as he tucks his head, his eyes aren't downfield. He had Alex Bullock settling into that zone defense on the back end wide open. That would have been a very easy 1st down conversion. So again, repetitions matter, playing at this level matters, and that will come for this young quarterback.
So Stater from his own end zone will punt. Now we have a stoppage coming. The official from way back behind the play on the Illinois State sideline came running in. Now this conference of our Missouri Valley Football Conference officiating crew, the white hat, Grant Henderson. Outside of the Toledo, Ohio area. You see Chase Mason talking things over with Jack Henry. Looking at the previous plays, they can watch videos, pull those up, and discuss things.
Please reset the game clock to 7 minutes, 15 seconds. The clock will start on my signal.
So we'll get the clock situated here. Redbirds appear to be playing it safe here as if they're expecting the Jacks to fake this. Stater started for a rugby-style kick, but a false start stops everything in its tracks.
False start. Offense number 16. 5-yard penalty. It remains 4th down.
And we'll see if this changes Illinois State's strategy right now. Really backed up into the shadow of the Jackrabbit end zone. See if they go after him. It doesn't look like it, Tyler, just based on their formation. They're going to try to play it safe again.
So Stater just ahead of the back line. Gets it away. Casper will field it off the hop and just run out of bounds to prevent further damage on the roll.
Timeout on the field.
So out of bounds at the 41-yard line. It's Illinois State ball with great field position after a timeout.
What is generational success? Keeping the farm
Vikings, Illinois State a 22-point lead. Our Sanford Health injury report. Team doctor for Earl Valentine. That is Chase Mason, who continues to make progress in his recovery from that lower leg injury, but just not to quite 100%, has not been cleared yet. So even though he's making strides, not able to get out there, and you know that's driving him nuts to not be able to help out his teammates. Rittenhouse will not make it back to the line. Isaiah Johnson comes up with the tackle.
A nice job there by the overall Jackrabbit defense. Tommy Rittenhouse has been really patient in giving that football, and right there tries to take it and get to the edge. Good job staying in your 111th by this Jackrabbit defense, making sure that he didn't extend this lead.
Rittenhouse on 2nd and 10 as the Redbirds trying to take advantage of the short field. Not much there. Ullman, and then the help from Fife for a gain of maybe 4, and Fife's hit was a tough one to watch on Javon Charles, the tight end.
Kind of got rolled up there. Joe Ullman tackling him, kind of got then rolled back over by Fife on contact.
So timeout on the field. 6 minutes left in the third quarter, and it's Illinois State 35-13.
I'm your baby, baby bell.
This game on Midco Sports is presented by Farmers Union Insurance. Simply different.
Repeater Field, just beyond the football stadium, home to Jackrabbit baseball in the spring. As the Redbirds face a 3rd and 6, Rittenhouse's throw is nearly intercepted, broken up by Isaiah Johnson, who was in a very active third quarter in that SDSU secondary.
It was a good job sitting on that route, knowing the down and distance, knowing where they needed to be on the sticks, being patient until that ball release, and then driving on the ball right there. That was a really dangerous throw by Tommy Rittenhouse that could have been the other way.
Redbirds are lining up to punt from the Jackrabbit 37. Second 3 and out of the afternoon for the Illinois State offense. Miles Taylor waits at his own 10. Fudge trying the coffin corner. And this ball will bounce through the end zone for a touchback. Fudge frustrated with himself.
Trying to get that lob wedge up there on the green, looks like me.
Illinois State defensively, 4 tackles for loss, a couple of sacks, the 2 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown as they forced 3 turnovers. This is a good defensive unit that, again, struggled some early, but they've gotten better as the year has gone along, and they've really played well today.
And especially when you're doing a lot of blitzing, a lot of stunting, a lot of games up front, that comes with repetitions, live repetitions, not even in practice against your own team that knows it's coming. And that's really showing today for the Redbirds.
Jack Henry will take off and run. And Henry a gain of 8 on first down. Mason Kaplan, who arrived at Illinois State as a quarterback after starting his career at Valparaiso, now a starting linebacker on the tackle.
And I think that's where Jack Henry right now.
False start. Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty. Remains second out.
And Tyler, some of these false starts are exactly what have plagued this Jackrabbit offense throughout this year, where you get that really nice first down pickup on Jack Henry's legs, and then you get that false start that didn't need to happen, and now you're sitting at a 2nd and long situation instead of a 2nd and short, where your play call option book is really open.
3 wides in the set. Henry's pass to Bullock caught, and he is near the sticks. Needed to reach the 30, and they'll mark him just across the 29, so he needs about a half yard. It's 3rd and short. So 3rd and short. Loffridge won't get it. Boy, how about the play by Ty Niekamp, the All-American linebacker?
This Illinois State Redbirds is absolutely flying around right now. Again, you see him scraping over right there, seeing that pulling guard. That is why he's an All-American, because that is an exceptional play.
And then who knows where this will end up on 4th down. Henry. The Jackrabbits think they have it. Illinois State thinks that it has turned back SDSU. The spot is right on the 30, and that means first down.
That was a spot, Tyler, that could have gone either way. That was really close on the play call there.
So new set of downs. Henry with a ton of time, making something happen, and a jumping catch made. No, he didn't hang on to it. Sammy Dressy thought he caught that ball, but the officials and the Redbirds sideline indicating the ball hit the turf. One more look.
As you watch Jack Henry dancing around in his pocket, good job keeping his eyes upfield right now, pointing to his wide receiver to go up and get the ball. Looks like it just scraped out of his hands. Again, that's a really tough play to make. Better job by the Redbirds trying to scrape through those hands when he hit the ground.
That was a really hard angle to try to see that. Henry on 2nd down. Bullock makes the catch in traffic to the 40-yard line. Move the sticks, first down SDSU.
Again, quick little skinny post route there by Alex Bullock. Right there, stepping right in front of Niekamp. That could have potentially put his hands on that for a really nice first down pickup. Jack Henry started to get into the flow again. We're kind of seeing that transfer over from that first half.
Off the play fake. Henry runs to an open spot, runs away from pressure, angling to the sideline, diving to the sticks. And he did not get a favorable mark. Got 8 yards on first down.
And again, as he's going through his progressions, going through his first and second reads, feeling that pressure come from the top side, did a better job keeping his eyes up. You're seeing some of those kind of initial early freshman kind of vibes that Mark Gronowski had, where he was relying more on his feet versus his arm. So again, this could be a star in the making for this Jackrabbit offense for years to come.
Henry has 45 of SDSU's 55 rushing yards, but here trying to get away from that pressure and just tripped by his own offensive lineman's foot inadvertently, and it'll send the Jacks back to a 3rd down and a long 6. Jacks are only 2 of 12 on 3rd downs today, but they're 5 of 6 on 4th. Henry Gannon has it for a first down, bouncing his way to the 45 of Illinois State. That's 12 yards.
You're starting to see the confidence then again of Jack Henry. Gannon dragging across the middle, really a replacement again of that top side Will linebacker blitzing off the edge, and a really nice third down conversion there. The Jackrabbits solely needed that to keep the momentum on this drive.
Basinger for about a yard. Again, just hard for the Jacks to mount anything in the run game.
And Ty Niekamp again showing why he's an All-American, being very patient on that read option right there, making sure that the quarterback gave the ball to the running back and then fitting where his gap zone really needed to be at.
Gannon able to hang on and dive in traffic to the 37 to set up 3rd and 2. Jackrabbits have done just enough here to hang around, trying to find a way to make this a 2-score game as we approach the end of the 3rd quarter. Basinger on 3rd and short. It's a first down and more. He's loose. Basinger inside the Illinois State 20. Longest play for a running back from scrimmage today on the ground. That's 20 yards for Basinger.
Look at this play right here. Whoop, right back outside of the hole there, Tyler. Again, that is a play that you saw Isaiah Davis make a couple times when he's a freshman. That shows really good signs. We've talked about these freshmen. They're kind of coming into their own here in the back half of this season.
Jacks are in the Integra Cooperative red zone. Johnson catches the ball in the flat but couldn't keep his feet. There is a flag to Bullock trying to block out there on the perimeter against Dorian DeBose.
And as the refs chat here, Tyler, again, these are plays that the Jackrabbit offense has been plagued with, it seems like, all year, where they're getting momentum and they get an offsetting penalty.
There is no foul for an illegal block in the back.
I spoke too early.
So, pick up the flag. Jacks still do lose yardage on the catch by Johnson. I was going to say, the officials did not spot that properly initially. They moved it back to the 18.
The Jackrabbits will take whatever they can get today, I think, Tyler.
All right, so it's 2nd down. Henry. A seed into more traffic, and it's caught by Goring. These are some tight windows the ball's being put into. Shadwell Kuba was right there.
A really tight window for a freshman quarterback to throw into, and an even better concentration right there on the edge by Graham Goring, knowing that he's going to get contact as soon as he gets the ball and coming down with it.
So the 4th and final quarter on the way. SDSU trying to dig itself out of a hole with a 1st and goal in just a moment. Jackrabbits statistically look like they're very much in this game, but a disastrous first half. Multiple turnovers and special teams miscues. Illinois State led 35-0. Jacks have slowly crawled back into this as Josiah Johnson inside the 2 on the opening play of the fourth quarter to set up 2nd and goal. Henry under center. And Johnson is in for a South Dakota State touchdown.
And this goes to a 2-possession ball game, Tyler, with almost 15 minutes left to play. So again, the Jackrabbits are not out of this, especially with the momentum on their side. It seems like this could be anybody's ball game.
Pride of the Dakotas playing on as the Jacks go for 2. Started as an I formation, now they realign. Henry on the rollout. And it was no signal yet. There's a wrestling match at the bottom of it. They're going to say it's a 2-point conversion. Gannon had it. Kaplan was trying to strip it free. And as Kaplan actually pulled the football out of the breadbasket of Gannon, the call was the 2-point conversion is good.
Look at this absolute laser beam on the run by Jack Henry. That is an incredible throw. You can't throw that ball any better. Defender going down on Grayton Gannon. Again, a great concentration by the tight end, Grayton Gannon, making sure that he connected with that. So again, this momentum feels like it's kind of on the Jackrabbit side right now.
The Jackrabbits within 14 opening minute of the fourth quarter. The Jackrabbits, 2 15-plus play drives today. 16 for 80 yards, capped off by Josiah Johnson. The cannon gets fired, and the 2-point conversion play. What a catch by Gannon to hang on. And all of a sudden, it's a 14-point game with a lot of time left.
And this is exactly what, again, kudos to the Jackrabbit team for keeping the pace because again, this was a landslide early and often that the Redbirds kept piling on, Tyler. So you're seeing some of that culture from the Jackrabbits saying this game is not over yet. It certainly isn't.
Stater's kickoff will land 3 yards in the end zone. It's a touchback. Well, Illinois State has moved the football in the last couple of quarters, but the Jackrabbits have kept the Redbirds off the board since that drive in the second that ended with the Sobkowitz touchdown catch.
And now you're feeling some of this crowd starting to get back into it, giving this Jackrabbit defense some juice. We'll see how Illinois State responds now. They're kind of getting tightened up. They're feeling some of this comeback. and we'll see what they do on offense.
Illinois State with 105 yards since the second quarter began. They had 150 in the first. Dawson stopped on the run after a couple. Kobe Bretz comes up from his safety position to make the hit.
And that's the RPO right there that the Redbirds have been very successful with, trying to get right off that skinny A-gap. Great job by Kobe Bretz coming down in the box, making that tackle. Again, that's a tough play to make as a safety.
So 2nd and 8. Lord motions to the right. Rittenhouse, 4 men come, pass high, incomplete in the area of Sobkowitz. And what a big play this certainly turns out to be. 3rd down and 8 for Illinois State. Jacks get a stop. The fans, the ones who have stayed, are trying to get back into this thing. That was a look. Rittenhouse trying to run. Now he'll take a shot, and it's incomplete. Sobkowitz, the intended wideout, and the Redbirds go 3 and out for the second straight series.
And a rare miss on back-to-back plays by Tommy Rittenhouse. Again, trying to go to his favorite target, number 2, Daniel Sobkowitz. This gives Jackrabbits a chance. Again, this is where you're starting to feel that comeback. Things get a little bit tighter. Not as fluid as it was in the first half for the Redbirds.
So Futch to punt. And Miles Taylor, who had 16 and 11-yard punt returns at USD last week, waiting on him. Futch, his best punt of the day, and it'll roll inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. A 45-yard punt and no return. So the Jackrabbits take over down 14 with a lot of time left, and you see the Jacks had a little bit of success. Basinger the one run. Other than that, it's been Henry with his feet, the running game, and then through the air, the 2 picks, but he's also completed 21 of 34.
Yeah, he's been very impressive, especially the second quarter going into the third quarter. Now, fourth quarter, game is starting to get tense. 2-score possession right now. Seeing what the Jackrabbit offense can turn out to.
Henry has Bullock open to the 40, down to the 42-yard line. Bullock for 14 and a first down. That's the 5th catch of the day for the Omaha native, his 57th of the year.
And Alex Bullock's showing some of his maturity, just settling in. A lot of zone right now coming from the Redbirds, just trying not to lose this game, but it's pointing out to that Jackrabbit offense is taking control and really making a point to settle in and make these really nice completions from Jack Henry to the wide receivers out on the edge.
Smith's 5th catch. That's good for 11. The Jackrabbits are in business at the Illinois State 48. This was 35-0 Illinois State with 10 minutes left in the second quarter. Jack Henry flushed. Sprinting to the sideline, and he's out of bounds at the Illinois State 42. That's 6 yards.
And that's a smart heads-up play by Jack Henry, young quarterback again, making sure that he doesn't force a penalty.
We have an injured Jackrabbit. Appears to be an offensive lineman being looked at. And so while he is looked at, we'll take a timeout. Jackrabbits are on the move within 14 in the 4th. 35-21, Illinois State the lead. Jackrabbit football on the march. Senior day today for the SDSU football team. Last home game of the regular season. And so 18 seniors were honored. Everybody with a hug from Dan Jackson, the head coach. Families, of course, pictures, yellow roses and whatnot. Cool moment before the game. Early movement from Illinois State. Flag is down. Henry going deep for Bullock, and he overshot him knowing he had a free play. And the Jacks will get 5 yards here. It's offside on the Redbirds.
Offsides. Defense number 13. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
And I really like the recognition by Jack Henry. Again, young quarterback. It wasn't really obvious, Tyler. It's kind of in his peripheral, but taking a chance on that deep shot and just overshot Bullock there. So again, that's a heads-up play by a young quarterback with limited reps.
Henry 23 of 36 for 204. He'll throw the screen to Bullock, and he got eaten alive. I tell you what, coming down the line, Travis Jones at 6'3", 285.
No gain on the play.
That's a big man coming down on a smaller wide receiver. They're not used to that, Tyler. They're used to getting tackled by corners and safeties. When you get 280 pounds coming down on you, you'll feel that tomorrow.
Second down, blitz is on. Henry's pass is caught. Again, 2 men around it, but Smith able to haul it into the 30-yard line, setting up 3rd and 2.
And Henry is absolutely lasering these balls in here on some of the soft zone. Jack Smith, again, making sure he had good concentration, make sure he got the catch down.
Basinger in trouble, dancing around, and he'll end up losing a couple. Jacks went to the run game on 3rd and 2, but the Redbirds did a very good job. Multiple Illinois State defenders to turn that thing into 4th and 4.
This is a big 4th down right here, Tyler.
Henry. Bullock has it, secures it, turns upfield, works his way to the 20. Pickup of 12 and a first down.
And that shows a lot of trust from offensive coordinator Coach Eisness. Right here, Jack Henry just ripping one out to the field. That's, again, another tough throw to make, especially in this kind of pressure situation. 4th and medium, he had to have it. Great execution by the Jackrabbit quarterback there.
Henry a season high in passing yards, then nobody open, tried to run, and that was a disaster for SDSU. Solomon Oduma, the first man there. And we have an injured Redbird. Jacks also have had to move around their offensive linemen here with the multiple injuries, with Hagan being out for the game and then Big Bo leaving the contest a moment ago. So Pepke's moved around to the outside. The Jackrabbits just trying to figure out a way to make this work with the bodies that they have healthy. Putting John Pica in an offensive lineman's number is part of what the Jacks are doing from an O-line standpoint. So SDSU with a second down when you return, down 14 early in the 4th quarter.
This game on Midco Sports is presented by South Dakota State University. Build a better future with South Dakota State University. And by Peterson Farms Seed.
.10:50 to play on the Integra Cooperative scoreboard. Illinois State 35, South Dakota State 21. Jack Henry will go deep down the left side for Bullock, who could not make a diving catch in the end zone. Oh, was that close to 6 for SDSU. And Bullock slow to get up as well.
And you see at the top of this route, he had a double move on that high safety. Reaching grab right in his hand, just couldn't quite come down with it. That was a beautiful ball, though, by Jack Henry, keeping his eyes towards that safety, making him sure he was keeping in the fit, and let it absolutely rip. That's an unfortunate break by the Jackrabbit offense right there.
So a missed opportunity there. Now SDSU looking at 3rd and 14. And now a flag. One of the Jackrabbit offensive linemen will be called for illegal procedure.
False start. Offense, number 54. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
So SDSU already behind the chains. The missed opportunity on the
no more commercials till the
diving catch that wasn't.
And one thing you're thinking right now, if you're Jack Henry, don't try to pick it all up right now, because obviously this is a absolutely must-have. You're going to go for it on 4th down. Even if you get half of this, is going to set him up for some higher chance to get that 4th down conversion.
Henry will take off and run to the 23. So 4th and 13 for SDSU. Just over 10 minutes to play, and the Jackrabbits down 14.
And this sets it up for at least a somewhat manageable 4th down conversion instead of 4th and 20, 4th and 13. You still have to keep those safeties pressed up a little bit more, not letting them kind of wander around that deeper mark. This could be set up for a deeper post route again. The bullet could be open again.
Redbirds only come with 4. Henry will throw it up to the back of the end zone, and he overshot Graham Gorey. So SDSU over on downs. And that clock really starting to become a factor here for SDSU with under 10 to play. Here's what Illinois State has done today, and that rushing attack has been deadly at times. Dawson averaging 6.5 per carry.
I would be surprised if they keep going with that. Obviously, we talked about Tyler. The time clock is on their side.
Kobe Bretz. A bullet out of the secondary. And Dawson down for a loss of 1.
Great
Jackrabbit's
job.
3rd tackle for loss, Mason.
Great job coming down the box again. Knowing the time possession, the time clock is not on the Jackrabbit defense or the Jackrabbits team favor. Kobe Bretz coming in, laying the wood right there.
2nd and 11. Rittenhouse. Caught in space beyond the sticks. That's a 1st down. It's a gain of 13 to Luke Maylander, the redshirt freshman wideout.
They drew a deep post route trying to get him outside this break, then brought one back inside there. Good offensive play set by the Redbirds, making sure that they get a 1st down. That was absolutely needed for them to extend this drive.
Redbirds trying to milk this clock. And if they can get in the end zone, they may very well seal it. Here's Dawson. Ran into his own man because Ullman pushed him backward. Then the tackle came from Bryce Johnson.
You're seeing a heightened level of focus of these linebackers being much more possessed coming downhill as soon as that ball is snapped on these RPO looks. And you're seeing these, what previously were 5-6 yard runs turning into 1, 2, or even tackles for loss right now.
2nd and long. Incomplete. Sobkowitz was looking up the field for where he was going to move after he caught the ball and didn't secure the grab. That'll stop the clock, and it's 3rd down.
A rare miss to the outside there by Tommy Rittenhouse. And again, to your point, Tyler, Daniel Sockowitz just taking his eye off the ball for a split second right here, allowing for the Redbirds to be in a 3rd and long. And you can hear this Jackrabbit fans getting on their feet, cheering on this defense. Big 3rd down here, critical 3rd down.
Redbirds are 5 of 12 on 3rd downs today. Dawson up the middle, and he'll get held up after a gain of about 3. And so Illinois State will punt just inside of the 7:30 mark.
And Illinois State's going to be punting into this north wind that has died down a little bit, Tyler, here in the second half. But again, this is not an easy punt to try to flip the field here for the Redbirds.
Futch to punt. There's Miles Taylor inside of his own 30. Taylor will let it bounce and then grab it at the 21. He's able to turn the corner and make something out of nothing. Taylor for a return of 11. The Futch punt covered 48 yards.
That was a really heads-up play by Jaden Oliver right there. Could have been, if he had just thrown his body in there, a block in the back, but he sped up and kind of just pressed his body between 2 Illinois State defenders trying to get there, and allowed the Jackrabbits to pick up 10 more needed yards at this point.
So SDSU from its own 32. Gannon makes the catch for a gain of close to 7, and clock becoming a factor here with under 7 minutes to play. Jacks do not huddle. Here comes the blitz. Henry's pass caught by Bullock. It's 1st down yardage, and he's out of bounds to temporarily stop the clock at his own 44. That is 8 catches now for Bullock.
This is where you're seeing Jack Henry being the most comfortable in these 2-minute style offenses, not allowing that defense to get set, making sure that you have quick, easy option routes for your wide receivers, knowing where they're going to be at, and he's really doing a nice job of delivering the ball when it's needed.
Jacks from their own 44. Henry buying time. Threw it in the direction of Bullock. Ball batted away by Cam Wilson. 44th pass of the day by Henry.
And that was a nice job by the Illinois State Redbirds, making sure that they kept pressing their wide receivers as he went to the boundary side. And that's a difficult play, especially with Jack Henry. He's been deadly throwing on the run today. That was a much needed 1st down stop.
Henry on 2nd and 10. As he was about to get sacked, he threw it in the direction of Delahoyd. And if he got rid of it before his knee hit the turf,
He passed the ball.
but he was down first. There was a receiver in the area, but that knee was down before he got rid of it. So that will be a sack credited to Garrett Steffen. So this is 3rd and long for SDSU. Jacks need the 46 of the Redbirds. Diving for a 1st down, it's Graham Goring.
And Jack Henry again settling in the pocket, looking through his reads. That's his 3rd read. Deep post route right there. An absolute laser beam again. This young man has an arm on him.
Looked like early movement, but there might have been a timeout first. So we look to see if Goring did indeed secure this catch. All right, Mason, here's our first look.
Coming down with it.
It's starting to slither through the grasp. Was he able to keep his hands underneath the football?
The key here, Tyler, is that they called it a catch on the field. And as he rolled over, he did have it secured. So the biggest question right now is when he falls to the ground here, does that point of that football hit the turf and then roll over?
It has to be indisputable video evidence.
Ball carrier did not receive the pass. He did not complete the process of the catch. We will go back to the previous spot. It will be 4th down.
So instead of the big completion, it's 4th down. And in a game like this, you just have to make every possible catch, as difficult as they are. And the Jackrabbits have missed a couple of what would have been terrific catches here in this 4th quarter.
And that's some of the things that is really unfortunate. That could have been, again, that potential touchdown pass to Bullock in the back of the end zone. That's one. Then right there, it would have been a huge 3rd down conversion. Tyler, those are plays that you got to have in moments like this.
So SDSU, this will be the 9th time the Jackrabbits have attempted a 4th down. And the ball is marked at the 37 of SDSU zone. The Jackrabbits need to get to the 46 of Illinois State. So it's 3rd and make that 4th and 17. With 5:30 to play, this might as well be the game. Henry heaves it deep. He's got Bullock out there in coverage, and the pass is incomplete. Henry gave Bullock a chance, but the Jacks are unable to make the 4th down conversion with 5:21 left.
And if you're Bullock right here, you'd want to try to go back into the defenders as much as you can to make that referee force them to make a decision right there. Jack Henry absolutely got planted as he released that football, but giving Alex Bullock the chance to make that play, you can't ask for much, especially on 4th and an extended down.
So the Redbirds smelling blood in the water, trying to run this thing out. And Dawson with his biggest run of the second half after an excellent first half. Dawson goes for 9.
And Dawson feels that he knows that the Jackrabbit defense is going to be coming with extra guys coming down in the box, being patient at the point of attack and then weaving back across as that fold deteriorated coming to the backside. Really nice pickup by the Illinois State Redbirds on a 1st down.
Redbirds running the play clock inside of 10 on 2nd and short. Rittenhouse will keep, and the quarterback dives to the 25-yard line. That's a Redbird 1st down.
On critical have-to-haves, that's not surprising seeing Tommy Rittenhouse pull that football, knowing that the Jackrabbit defense has been keen on these running backs, trying to stop him at the point of scrimmage, making sure that he got that 1st down to continue that clock ticking down.
Well, Illinois State, a 28-point 1st quarter outburst, led 35-0. The Jackrabbits have done yeoman's work to get back into this football game. But the Redbirds trying to put it away. And of course, one of the subplots of this game, you have Tommy Rittenhouse making his 30th career start, Henry just his 2nd. And in games like this, turnovers can become such a factor, and Rittenhouse has not turned it over. Henry's thrown the 2 picks. One of them went immediately for 6.
And besides that, again, first quarter outburst, the Jackrabbits have held Tommy Rittenhouse in check.
1st and 10. Here is Victor Dawson again. Jalen Lee brings him down after a gain of about 4. The Jackrabbits trying to preserve as much time as possible. Calling their timeout.
This is their second timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Illinois State with the win goes to 8-3. South Dakota State would fall to 7-4, and what that would mean if this holds up, the Redbirds go home to play Southern Illinois. And the Jackrabbits would have to go to North Dakota to extend the season. UND keeping its playoff hopes alive with a win at Murray State. Youngstown State took care of business despite a slow start against Indiana State. And what a game in Carbondale. USD knocks Southern Illinois out of the playoffs and likely put themselves in. Again, we told you 8 wins, the mark to get. Rittenhouse running to the right, and Ullman able to bring him down well behind the line of the 28.
A great job by senior captain Joe Ullman, again, making sure that as the team captain and middle linebacker, staying home, knowing that Tommy Rittenhouse might try to put the game on his back to steal it right there. So again, now you're looking at 3rd and long here, Tyler. Wind starting to shift. If the Jackrabbits can hold them here, this is not a guaranteed field goal. So again, still it would be a 2-score game, roughly about 4 minutes left. So this game is not over.
Well, the fans who are here, the youngins, showing off the skin. They're in it to win it. I think somebody's telling them they're on camera right now, too. Illinois State 3rd and 13. Redbirds are in field goal range, which will essentially put the game away. Dawson going to go down well behind the line of scrimmage. And that's going to stretch out a potential field goal opportunity here for Illinois State. Jacks are out of timeouts. Dawson went down inbounds, not even a partial stoppage. The mark will be the 34. So if the Redbirds opt to kick a field goal here, it would be 51, maybe 52 yards. Play clock inside of 5 as you see Dan Jackson frustrated on the SDSU sideline, and then Brock Spack takes the timeout.
It's timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
8 wins is the magic number to get to in the playoff bid, and Illinois State on the verge of it as our PS Garage Doors player of the game. And the combination of Tommy Rittenhouse and Daniel Sobkowitz, 3 touchdown connections between the two. Sobkowitz entered the day as the Valley's leader in touchdown grabs, and he added to it in a huge way as the Redbirds built that 35-0 lead.
Yeah, this dynamic duo was absolutely dynamite today, hooking up for 3 touchdowns. For most of the game, Tyler, they're on the same page. In the second half, the Jackrabbits have done a better job on both of them, but it was almost too little too late.
This is a 51-yard try, and you have to be aware of a blocked kick here if you're Maldonado, who did hit from 51 against North Alabama earlier this year. This would match his career long. And it is blocked. That's a live football, and it's out of bounds. Jackrabbits tried for a scoop and score there, but unable to secure it was Isaiah Johnson. But SDSU will end up with terrific field position out of this.
Wow, you couldn't have asked for a much better result right there for this Jackrabbit team. Getting a block, almost a scoop and score, but now it sets them up for great field position. 3:28 left on the clock. If they score here quick, Tyler, this could be again, a very dangerous ball game position for the Redbirds.
So SDSU, after the blocked field goal, has it at the 36 of the Redbirds. A quick score here, and suddenly all things seem possible. How about Gannon hanging on despite the hit there from Mason Kaplan, the linebacker?
Grayton Gannon has been showing some really strong hands today, especially in these high traffic situations.
Henry to Gannon again. The tight end hangs on to the 23. That's the 7th catch for Grayton Gannon. Jacks with under 3 to play. Ball knocked away as the Jacks just keep going to the same thing. Henry to Gannon, and Kaplan got his hand up.
And Jack Henry almost slipped the seam right there again, and there was nobody if Grayton Gannon would have caught that ball. So again, there are options out there for the Jackrabbit offense to maybe make a quick score here. 2:51 still on the scoreboard. Lots of time left.
Henry's pass to Bullock, caught inside the 20. He's held up inbounds at around the 18. Again, time is a big opponent here of SDSU's.
And that was a heads-up play by the Illinois State Redbirds, making sure that Bullock did not get out of bounds there.
Jacks are in the Integra Cooperative red zone on 3rd down. The pass is somehow caught by Gannon, who then dropped it on the ground, picked it back up, but the spot is going to be shy of the stick, so this is 4th down for SDSU. So the catch and fumble, and now the clock continues to run down to the 2-minute timeout, I should say. They'll chastise me for saying that in the NCAA offices. 2 minutes left in this one. It's Illinois State a 35-21 lead.
Successful. That's who we are.
Illinois State, the tremendous start, 35-0. Then SDSU has battled back. The Jacks have had chances, just unable to fully close the gap. So our Valley standings brought to you by Willikers. If the Redbirds finish this out, they go to 8-3 with a chance to make it 9-3 next week against Southern Illinois. The Redbirds at the line of scrimmage have taken a timeout here.
30-second timeout.
Smart use of a timeout right there by head coach Brock Spack. Seeing what the Jackrabbits came out with on that critical 4th and short. Obviously, Tyler, with 2 minutes left, if they stop him here, game's over. But the Jackrabbits convert, score a touchdown. This game is still alive, very much so.
Jacks are out of timeouts, so they need to score a touchdown here. They don't have an opportunity should Illinois State get the football back to stop the clock. So SDSU would need a score and then either an onside kick recovery or something freaky to happen. And let's face it, the way the day has gone in the Valley, anything's possible.
Well, just the way this game has gone, Tyler, there's been so many ups and downs, you just never know.
This is the 10th attempt, as you saw on your screen, SDSU on 4th down. It's Bullock on an end around, and he will not be able to do anything. Patrick Bauer, who had the pick 6 to start things for Illinois State, makes the game-sealing play defensively as the Redbirds will leave Brookings with a win.
That young man, Patrick Bauer, has been really impressive. He could have easily tried to pursue that really hard. That has came up on film. The Jackrabbit offense has tried to run that before. Recognizing that, staying sharp, staying and doing his 111th, shut the door on this Jackrabbit team here tonight.
So Illinois State 8-3, hosting Southern Illinois next week. And again, the Redbirds win next week. They'll be in discussion for a seed. And the Jackrabbits will head to Grand Forks, a game you'll be able to see right here on Midco Sports next week. A gigantic matchup, because whoever wins that game at 8-4 should be in the playoffs, and the loser at 7-5, well, you're asking a lot. You're going to be on the bubble. And if you're SDSU on a 5-game losing skid, that's a tough ask. So it is a must-win for both teams in Grand Forks a week from today. Redbirds, that terrific start. We've talked about it a lot. SDSU did some good things today, but when you face a good football team, you cannot spot them the kind of lead the Jacks did, and yet a couple of opportunities in there for what would have been tremendous catches. The Jacks just didn't quite have enough. And kudos to Illinois State. Brock Spack's team, again, at one point was sitting here at 4-3, looking down the barrel, and now they have won 4 in a row. And again, if they can beat Southern next week, the discussion of a top 8 seed will come up for the Redbirds. You don't know if you're going to get it or not if you're an Illinois State fan, but you know it'll be talked about, and that's all you can ask.
And that's something that's bit SDSU in the games that they've lost, is not starting fast, Tyler. And that exactly came up here today, that the Jackrabbits really won the last 3 quarters. But when you spot them, to your point, 28 points in the blink of an eye, that's really, really hard to come back from. So going up to UND next week, Jackrabbits have to come ready. And then Illinois State, they set themselves up for a potential top 8 seed.
SDSU outgained Illinois State today 321 to 263, but the miscues early. The Redbirds a 35-0 lead 20 minutes in, and they win it in Brookings. victory on the Integra Cooperative scoreboard. And here's a look at our highlights of today's contest in the second half, brought to you by Avera Orthopedics. Jackrabbits were able to get some things going at times offensively, but Texter Niekamp had a pick and a sack for the Redbirds.
And the Jackrabbit offense was able to do some good things, but again, it was at critical moments that the Illinois State Redbirds really came to play, and you saw that throughout the game. And the Jackrabbit defense at times were showing the same things, but again, when we spot them 28 points to start, Tyler, that's really tough.
In fact, it was 35-0 at one point. Josiah Johnson with the touchdown run as SDSU just kept battling in this game, doing just enough to hang around. Jack Henry on the rollout here. This is something else, this two-point conversion grab in traffic. Gannon able to hang on to cut into the Redbird lead. That made it 35-21. And then SDSU, the blocked field goal that gave the Jacks some life in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, this was one of the most up and down games, I think, Tyler, that I've ever watched and been a part of. And then again, it just came down to Illinois State making the critical plays when they absolutely had to. They just made too many and too fast for the Jackrabbits to be able to recover from.
So again, you look at the numbers, SDSU outgains Illinois State, but the Jackrabbits 10 fourth down attempts. The turnovers obviously proved costly, and the field position battle was dominated by the Redbirds in the opening 15 minutes.
Yeah, the 3 turnovers, especially early, that field position really flipped the script. And again, 28 points, and like you said, Tyler, down 35-0 at one point. The Jackrabbits battled, but it was just too much at the end.
So South Dakota State drops its 4th in a row. Illinois State, again, has put itself in position here, Mason. We don't know what will happen next week. We don't know what all will happen throughout the rest of the FCS. But if you're the Redbirds at 9-3, you put yourself in position to be a top 8 seed. You have to win next week against Southern Illinois. For SDSU, it's very simple. If you lose next week at North Dakota at 7-5, at best, you're on the bubble on a 5-game losing skid. So next week at North Dakota becomes a must-win game. And at this point, we are joined now by the head coach of the Jackrabbits, Dan Jackson. And Coach, the second half went much better than the first half, but when you're playing a team as good as Illinois State, it's an awful big hole to dig yourself out of.
Yeah, the start of the game, I got to make sure I have us ready to go. Just too many miscues early in the football game to be able to overcome. The defense finishing the game with 7 straight stops is pretty impressive right there and showed a ton of character. And I thought our offense was battling the entire second half. Just needed to be able to punch a couple more in the end zone there to give us an opportunity.
From a defensive standpoint against this Illinois State team that has a lot of weapons, they had some success with Dawson on the ground, but you were able to limit a lot of what they wanted to do.
Yeah, we created some havoc plays, got some hits on the quarterback. I think after we settled in, took away their pass game with number 2 there, who's a really good football player, but made some adjustments, and we're able to take him away and then just kind of force them to try to run the ball. And I thought our defensive line and linebackers and safeties rose up and made some big hits.
We had talked so much during that 7-game winning streak, can't get too high, block out the outside noise. Similar thing here with 1 game left in the regular season, right?
Yeah, you stay in your process. It's one day at a time. I mean, whether you're winning, whether you're losing, regardless of what it is, you need to be able to win each day, and that's what we need to do right now. We got 5 guaranteed days, of practice next week together. Need to go up to North Dakota, play our best ball, get a win, get in the playoffs, and get on a roll. But I do believe in this team. I think everybody sees the fight in this team. When things looked pretty bleak there early on, there was no quit. There was a continual fight and belief, and I felt it in the locker room. And I'm going to go feel in the locker room here again. This team is fighting. We just need to find ways to do our part as coaches as well to be able to put them in positions to have some success and finish these.
Coach, appreciate the time, and we'll see you up in Grand Forks.
Yeah, appreciate you and all your effort, buddy.
Dan Jackson, the head coach of South Dakota State. The Jackrabbits will be at North Dakota again next Saturday. You can see it here on Midco Sports, and that will be a game that literally the winner moves on to the playoffs.
Yeah, huge opportunity for both squads, and we're going to great end the Missouri Valley football play, see what happens in the playoffs.
For our producer, Carolyn Rosinski, director Corey Wilson, Mason Lyseth, and our entire Midco Sports crew, I'm Tyler Merriam. Thanks for joining us tonight from Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium. Illinois State a winner, 35-21. You've been watching Jackrabbit football on Midco Sports, your leader in regional sports coverage.